earphone try करिए ऐसा कुछ करना.
हाँ, yeah, let me look at it.
Okay, we'll start in 2 minutes. Yes, Hitasha, what about you? Okay. You guys can share the link with your friends also. That's fine. Just need to forward the message. Okay, one last minute and then we'll start.
A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Fadi Nayyar, and I'm from Delhi. I cleared my foundation November 20, and my CA inter attempt is due in November 21.
That's great. But I remember you had attended our previous sessions as well. That's great. It's good to see people coming again. That shows we are doing something in the right direction. Great.
Thank you so much, Prithvi. Thank you so much.
So Upamanya has also joined. Welcome, Upamanya.
Hi, Prithvi. Thanks.
All right. So it's 3 p.m. already. Your brief
Shruti,
the whole flow topics. Yeah, we are on YouTube as well. That's great. So I would like all the panelists to give a short intro about themselves, starting with the Parolia sisters. All the panelists can give their introduction, and maybe if they could even touch upon what all topics they plan to cover today. Yes, Sanskruti, starting with you.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Sanskruti Parolia and I have just cleared my inter in November 2020 examination with an All India rank 3. And today we are going to be I'm going to be specifically talking about the strategy for all 8 subjects.
Thanks, Sanskruti. Who do I have next? Shruti. Okay, so Shruti, I don't think. Yes, Touquir, what about you? What all topics you are planning to cover?
Yeah, so first of all, I just gave my introduction. The main content agenda for myself for being a part of this meeting will be in order to cover up how to, in order to prepare for your 1.5 days exam preparation, basically, because getting covered up with the studies is one point, and getting it covered again within a period of 1.5 days is again a challenge in itself. So we'll be talking on basically one of the 4 subjects where the people face the problems there, and hopefully we're trying to get a maximum coverage for that.
Right, great. Next, Prathmesh, what about you?
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Prathamesh Siroya. I have just qualified Inter CA in this November 20, and my today's agenda is about the importance of handwritten notes, how to write papers, what to write in papers, and about something about time management. And yeah, we will cover every point we feel that is needed in this video. Thank you.
Great. So I think we have Shruti online now. Yes, Shruti.
Yeah, I'm
Hello.
sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Shruti Parolia and I've given my intermediate examination in November 2020, securing All India rank 4. And I can provide guidance to all those who require the same. And I hope I'm useful to you all.
That's great. Thanks, Shruti. Next, we have Ankur. Ankur, your mic issue solved.
Yeah, I hope so. Am I audible clearly?
थोड़ा low आ रहा है. So if you are on laptop now, try to speak directly to the laptop. अगर PC है, then try to get another earphone.
Okay, I'm on the laptop. Give me a second.
Is it audible now?
Yes, now it's audible.
Okay, so I gave my introduction. I think I was not audible. So I came through the foundation route. I secured already around 37 CA foundation, and I've cleared Inter CA with exemptions in all subject and a distinction. I will be talking about the importance and how to go about writing handwritten notes, and also since you're going to check your papers on your own, the prelim papers that you write before the exam, how you should go about checking that, what should be a strategy in this year.
That's great. That's great. Next we have Rohil Khakkar.
So hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm Rohil Khakkar and I secured an All India rank 40th in the recently conducted November 2020 CA Inter examinations. So my today's agenda would be my overcoming stress around these CA exams and how to deal with that. And also while writing papers, what all should you keep in mind and what all papers should you, how many papers should you write and what all should you write?
So who do you have next? Yes, panelists. Dipshi is there. She's yet to join.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, hi Shobhit.
Yeah, hi Prithvi. This is Shobhit Bafna. I secured AIR 43 in CA Foundation, and I'm currently working in PwC India in Financial Service Department.
That's great. That's great. So Dipshi, I think, is pending from the panelists to give her intro. Then we can start with the main agenda. Dipshi has joined. All right. So,
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
I know it may sound silly, but still, Sanskruti and Shruti are twins.
Yes, they are, and they secured third and fourth rank. So I assume जो बड़ा रहेगा उनमें से उसको third मिला रहेगा and दूसरे को fourth मिला रहेगा. I'm not sure. Is it that way?
Yeah, this time it happens to be that way.
Actually, I was also a bit curious to ask the question, but मैं सोचा थोड़ा end में पूछ रहा हूँ.
नहीं, so this will set the context right. So even I was wondering कि third and fourth किसको मिला रहेगा. Then I said to myself कि जो बड़ी रहेगी वो third रहेगी. And what is the age difference between you guys?
1 minute.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है, अभी बहुत परेशान कर रहे हैं वो लोग को. ज्यादा पैनलिस्ट उनको नाराज नहीं करेंगे or else they'll walk out. All right, so all the panelists have introduced themselves. So here's the flow and the brief agenda of today's topic. So what are things we are planning to cover? We'll be covering time management for exams, how to prepare for 1.5 days before the exam, how your mindset should be for exams, and all 8 papers preparation strategy. All right, so who will be taking up the first topic? Yeah, Dipshi, I can see Dipshi, she's online now. Yes, Dipshi, over to you.
I think I'm facing some network issues right now, so I probably might not be able to switch my camera on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You can go.
So hello everyone, this is Dipshi Marlecha here. So I had secured AIR 32 in CA Foundation, and right now I'm working as an articled assistant at PwC.
Dipshi, we have given a brief about everyone's background and what all topics they'll be covering. So I think you can take it ahead now.
Yeah. So basically, we had got a lot of questions, and from amongst them, we have, consolidated a few ones, and I think we should start now. The first topic, which is about time management, and I would request Shobhit to answer these questions. First, one of the question was that a student wanted some help with respect to time charts. That is, they need the number of days that are required to complete a particular chapter or subject, and the best time for solving RTPs and MTPs. And this time chart should be of 3 months as well as 9 months, which is 3 months for the attempt that will be in May and 9 months for the attempt which will be in November. So over to you, Shobhit.
Yeah. So basically, I will divide my answer in 2 parts for November attempt and for May attempt. I suppose for May attempt, there are only 2 months left right now. So I will speak according to it. Firstly, for November 2021. So this 9 months journey should go like this. for first 6 months you should study along with your classes. Like there should be one reading of all the chapters and all the subjects along with the classes, and you should solve chapter wise test. Then in the remaining 3 months the ratio is 56 days, 24 days, and the 8 days. So speaking in broad about 56 days.
Shobhit, there's some issue with your mic, I understand. Even you are using
Okay.
laptop here.
Sorry,
Are you using laptop or a desktop?
laptop.
Then try taking off your earphones and try to speak directly. Maybe that might help.
Okay, just a minute, just a minute. Now,
Yes, perfect.
uh, just Lucy, can you speak something?
Yes, Shobhit.
Uh, I'm not able to hear you.
Okay, we can hear you. You present your topic. It's okay.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I was speaking about 9 months graph. So first 6 months, you should study with your classes and give the chapter wise test and do the whole subject reading for the one time. And then goes the ratio goes like this: 56 days, 24 days, and 8 days. So in 56 days, you should give each paper basically for 7 days, and in that 7 days you should solve all the MTPs, RTPs, and past papers along with revising the subject. And should you should give your test mock test in that part, one full paper. Then in 24 days you should give 3 days to all the subjects. In that you can do one thing which is very helpful for everyone, that in you should study for 2 days, and the third day morning you should give the paper, so and check the paper, so you have the time to self evaluate yourself, and whatever mistakes you make you can solve on the that day, on the that day itself, on the third day. So if you write the paper on third day evening, you won't be able to rectify your mistakes. Then you will do like, let's do in the next revision. So there is a solution for this, that you can solve the paper in the morning itself and correct yourself in the evening part, and in the last 8 days you can give mock papers of all the subjects, and just solve the difficult part of all the subjects, and last 2 days for the accounts exam preparation.
Okay, so I think we'll move on to the next question. Uh, the next question to Shobhit is that how to make and follow timetable for self study. Like people are confused that which subject to select first, and even if they decide to select a particular subject, they are confused as to which chapters to do when, and how to do, how to plan the entire self study time. So what would you want to say about it?
Yeah, sure, Dipshi. So basically, you can do one thing. The self-study part can go like this. You can divide the subject in two different parts: heavy part or difficult part, or light part and easier part. So if you divide the subject in this combination, you won't get exhaustive in a day. You can complete the whole part in easier manner. Then you can do one thing for to ensure self study, is that you take appropriate breaks are very important. So you need to take appropriate breaks, and in breaks you should not touch your social media accounts or watch Netflix or something like that. You can take a power nap, or you can talk with your family. You can stroll in your house, or you can take a walk, which is helpful for your mental health also. You need to take our care. According to me, CA is more about mental health. Like you need to be calm. If you be if you don't be a calm student, you will you would regret in your exam days. So you need to be calm. And another thing is you should avoid social media. And uh, I used to do this one thing. I used to uh, all the WhatsApp groups which I was a part of, I used to add my mom in that group. And in the last 3 months, I gave up my smartphone and I used a normal phone. And for any updates, I used to take my mom's phone and use it. So by this, you can avoid all the disturbances and all the external thing which would disturb you in your preparations.
Shobhit, can I add on something?
Yes, Prathamesh, go ahead.
Yeah, so about the social media, guys, it is very important to avoid social media in the last 3 months. Yeah, you can just keep your WhatsApp in hand, but delete every other apps because like Instagram takes a heft of your time. So you cannot like give your time away in social media. WhatsApp is fine, you need documentation, all other apps, that is fine. But social media, Instagram, avoid. And don't take your cell phones in hand during self studies. That is very important. If you avoid taking cell phones, then even 8 hours in a day or 10 hours in a day study is the best. You don't need to extend your study. And if you take social media and phones in hand, even a 14-hour study would be like not enough for you guys. So that's a very important point that Shobhit elaborated. And about cell phones, during my exams, I used to keep my cell phones over my temple. Like we have a temple at home, so on the top of that, I keep my cell phone and don't touch it even for hours. So any calls and all that, we don't touch even our cell
That's
phone.
great.
So that is
That's
what
great.
most important. Yeah,
Also,
Shobhit, you can continue.
yeah, one more point from my end. So I used to use a Geo phone on during my finals, even if that suggestion helps. And if anyone is staying near Borivali and wants my Geo phone, you can use it till you clear. It's okay.
So can we move ahead?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the last question for Shobhit is that people are asking that how many hours are a minimum requirement every day, and if I mean there are a lot of people who say that you need to study for 10 hours, 12 hours. So how to ensure that you achieve that particular goal?
So basically, according to me, there is no fixed criteria or requirement that you need to study for 12 odd hours and then only you can clear CA Inter. So minimum 10 hours a day is a requirement for CA Inter, but there is no as such hard rule. But you can do is one thing, that is you can set goals for yourself. If you achieve that goals, uh, you can call off for your day, but you need to set realistic goals and try to achieve them as try to achieve them easily, so that in your exam times you don't face any problems.
Okay. And I would just like to give another suggestion as well. For example, if there's some theory subject or anything, and you decide to do three particular chapters on any day, so what your target should be, and you've decided that you will study for 10 or 12 hours every day. So, you should have this thing in mind that you should either study for 10 or 12 hours or complete the entire day syllabus whichever is higher. So for example, you complete all doing those three chapters maybe in 8 hours, then it becomes your responsibility to get up some more work for that particular day and complete it. Not just sit idle कि हाँ आज का तो 3 chapter हो गया तो I'm done for the day. I don't think that should be the case. It should be the estimated syllabus for the day and 10 or 12 hours whichever is higher. So that is what I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Dipshi.
Okay, so now there are another set of questions which I would like to go with. And the first one is that people say that there was this one person who said that I cannot sit in one place. people said that I can't sit in one place, and also people say that there was this one more question, that how to stick to your timetable and follow it efficiently even if you miss it one day, how to get back to it. So for this, my suggestion would be that what I personally did, I would like to share that. Initially, even I used to face this issue of not being able to sit at one particular place for long hours. So what I used to do was, I used to keep a timer for 2 hours. 2 hours I used to forget everything that's going around me, or everything, and just study. Just be with your books, be with yourself, study for those 2 hours. Go, after those 2 hours, take a 5-10 minute break, meet your family, do talk to your friend, use your mobile phone. But then you need to be very careful that you do not spend much time at that point of time. So you can have these 2 hours ka slots every day when you start at the initial stage, when you're saying you're not being able to sit in one place continuously, and this is how you can start. And gradually 2 hours ka you can make it 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So after a point, I guarantee you that you'll be at a state where you can study for 12 hours a day, and you yourself will not want to take much breaks. You will be of the opinion ki nahi, abhi sirf khane ke liye break chahiye. Otherwise you will also be so much motivated and you'll enjoy studying. But for that, you need to start today itself. You cannot wait. Every time you cannot procrastinate ki nahi, baad mein 2 hours karke let the graph go up. Okay, so another question was that how do I stop worrying and start studying? And people say that they get very much demotivated and they're not being able to concentrate. People say that after studying a bit, they feel like doing some kind of a time pass. They distract themselves on social media and all. The only one thing I would like to say for this particular topic is that, see, guys, remember, this is just a short span of time that you're giving. Even if your attempt is in May, you have 3 months to study. If your attempt is in November, you have 9 months. Guys, remember, once you are done with your attempt, you will definitely get 2 to 2.5 months of free break, जिसमें तुम लोग को कुछ नहीं करना है. You have your time. You can go with your friends. You can go anywhere. There are a lot of people who are asking me personally also that we are not being able to keep ourselves motivated as to compromise on going outings with friends, going out with family. So this is the only thing that I would like to say, that you will definitely get time after your exams, but provided you study properly right now. If you study properly right now, you will have your exams will go ekdam अच्छे से, and then you will not have time to you won't be in a pressure कि मेरे papers अच्छे नहीं गए, so you might have to start studying again. Agar if you study very proper very nicely right now, after giving your exams, you will be quite in a good position that ki you might pass. And after exams, getting this this thought also ki I might pass is a big thing, because people just go around in tension ki nahi lagta nahi hai pass hoge. So trust me guys, you will get a lot of time after that. But what is important right now is to focus on these 3 or 9 months, like whatever is applicable to you. I would just say that please just give your 3 to 9 months, and trust me, it's gonna worth it. Okay, so these were the questions that I was gonna answer. Now we move ahead. Now we have our twin sisters to answer these questions, and I would go with the first question. The first question is that what should be the material coverage for all 8 subjects? So over to you, Sanskruti and Shruti.
So I'll be talking about the material coverage for the group 1. For accounts and costing, you should definitely refer to the module, because most of the questions in the paper are going to be from the module, or maybe some variation of the module, which you can solve if you have conceptual understanding. So the first most priority that you must be giving is to the module. Then you can later on solve the RTPs, the MTPs, the past papers. And in case of costing, you can even solve PM if you have time. That is the practice manual. So this will help you give a practice. You can also estimate what the type of the questions are being asked in the examination and can perform better. In case of tax, you can refer to the module of DT for illustrations. You can also refer to your own RTP, your own attempt RTP, and also your mock test paper. Referring to the previous year RTP may not be that much recommended because of the amendments that keep on coming, because of which the answers may keep on changing. So you can refer to your own RTP. And then in case of law, I definitely will recommend to refer to the module, because you can even it may become very easier for you to solve your MCQs if you once study from the module. So solve from there, and also to apply the knowledge that you have gained from reading the module, you can solve the RTPs, the MCPs, the past paper. Again, you can get an idea of what type of a question may be asked. And ऐसे पता चलेगा कि जो आपने knowledge gain किया from reading the module, are you actually able to apply the same? Because law में main है not understanding the provision, but knowing when you are supposed to apply it and accurately applying the same. So that you can then refer the RTP, MCP once you're done with the module.
For advanced accounts and FM, like Shruti said, we can use the module, the RTPs, MTPs, and the past papers. And then if the time permits and you wish to solve more and get better practice over the subject, then you can also use the old course practice manual. For theory subjects, I think the module is more enough. It's extremely comprehensive. You can definitely use the module. And then to test the knowledge that you have gained from it, you could use the RTP and the MTPs.
All right. That was helpful. Yes, Dipshi, next question.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question that was is that what should be the approach to study DT, EIS, SM, and audit? Is it that you need to mug up, or there is a better approach that should be followed? So yeah.
So in case of DT, ये काफी बार हो जाता है कि in exam day you are not able to recollect the provision, या फिर there's confusion between the provisions वगैरह. So the only solution to this will be revising the provisions again and again and again. So that will help you to better retain it. It will give you better confidence. So keep revising it again and again. Now obviously इतना possible नहीं होगा कि पूरा module वापस revise करें. So make your own summary notes and revise those again and again. So the only solution, if you don't want to blank out during the examination, is going to be to study it again and again, and then definitely solve all the illustrations that are there in the module for both DT and IDT. And in fact, for IDT, you can even refer to the module. They have made it really well. They have even put some pictures over there. They have given the provisions, and then they have given an analysis, which is very self-explanatory. So you can really enjoy. So you can refer to that module as well. And then once you refer to that, you make your own summary notes and then revise those summary notes again and again and again. So that can help you better perform in DT, and also refer to your attempt RTP and MTPs.
I would like to speak about EIS, SM, and audit. Many people ask me कि module is so big and so wide that we do not realize कि मतलब पढ़ना क्या, इतना पूरा तो पढ़ नहीं सकते, तो क्या पढ़ना है? So for this, what you could do is, before starting a chapter, just refer to all the questions that are available at behind the module. After each chapter, the list of questions are available. Just go through those questions, and also go through the RTPs, 3 attempt RTPs, and all the answers to these questions. Now mark it at the relevant places in the module. Now, this is your set of important questions available for you. Now, the parts that you have not marked, just read through them, because those are going to be, relevant for you for MCQ purpose. Just read through them. Just obtain conceptual understanding for them. Do not study anything. Do not try to by heart them. Now, for those that you have marked, now what you have to do is, get some questions over here in these answers will be some header-based answers. The head points will be available in the module itself. And some will be sort of paragraph sort of answers that will be available. In headers, in your first first learning, what you're supposed to be doing is just try to understand the conceptual understanding. Now, see, why am I saying this is, see, when you understand something, now you retain it longer. If you just want to learn these words and these keywords or something, you'll not be able to retain it longer. If you understand something, now you could be able to retain it for a much longer period. So in your first learning, your target should be to just have, just understand, gain conceptual understanding, and learn those headers. There will be 5, 6, 7 headers. So in your first reading, our target is conceptual understanding. Those 5 headers for header-based answers. Now, what about for paragraph-based answers? You have to learn, say, 5 or 6 keywords. Now, the question comes is, what are the keywords, and how are we going to be able to identify those keywords? See, basically, keywords are those words that will help you understand and remember कि वो sentence किसके बारे में बोल रहा था. That is basically a keyword. Like, that is the entire sentence is talking about what is a keyword. The terminologies, the technical terms are your keywords. Now, see, obviously, in your first reading, you cannot cover all the keywords. So target to 5 and 6 keywords. So in your first reading of EIS and SM, your target should be to understand the conceptual understanding and to learn the headers and the few keywords. That is should be your target for your first reading. Then in your second reading, just test those knowledge that you've already gained. वो जो head points last time पढ़े थे वो वापस revise करो. And this time, I have an additional 3-4 or head points पढ़ो or keywords पढ़ो. So that is how you eventually be able to build up your knowledge and achieve that language that is required to be given in the examination. What people miss out on is which is why they're not able to clear or gain good marks in audit and EISSM is that they do not revise sufficiently. They do the first part. They gain good conceptual understanding. They also try for some keywords and head points. But understand the first reading itself will not be able to retain entire thing in exams because you need to revise it once, twice, at least 2 revisions is a must for EISSM and audit. Only then will you be able to give in all your keywords, your head points, the language that is required for essay-based chapters. That will you be able to do only if you have revised enough. And I would also like to say, see, don't treat audit as a theory subject, rather treat it as a language. And once you treat it that way, you'll be scoring really good in both the subjects.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti and Sanskruti. You guys have explained it very well.
Yeah, Dipshi, I would like to add just one more point.
Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
This is one piece of advice I keep giving to everyone, and I would like to give to all the participants. So, this is something some people do and some are not aware of. So, we think that it's an ICI paper, so we can't underline the keywords or something. But I did not have really good handwriting, but I managed to score decently in the theory subjects as well. So one piece of advice is even in your answer paper for the CA exams, you underline the key terms. So that makes the job of the examiner much easier and it will easily fetch you marks. Thanks.
Yeah, I would like to add for all theory papers, I had for each and every answer, I had marked the keywords that I've studied. So yes, it's very important to mark those keywords because that will ensure that your examiner only sees those keywords and judge you on that basis. And it will save his time also. So that's actually a very recommended, a very important suggestion.
Yeah. So thank you. Now there's this one more question, which is the subject you should start with first, and which one should be the last. So what should be the sequence of your, when you start studying?
Now, actually, that is very subjective. You may start with any subject, you may end with any subject. Now, if you ask me what I had done, I had started with EIS, and my reason for starting with EIS was out of all the subjects, I found this the most difficult subject because for me, anyways, theory is more difficult than practical, and in theory also EIS is of some next level. So I had started with EIS first. I always believe in starting with the most difficult thing first. So personally, I've started with EIS, but okay, you can start with anything. That depends on you. So that's very subjective.
Yeah. Thank you so much, twin sisters. So we move ahead and okay.
Dipshi, can I add something to this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the question was which subject should be prepared first. So I'm giving my personal opinion, uh, especially for the November 21. Like you can start with practical and touch the theory subject in the last 3 months. So this is what I did. Like in the first 6 months, you have your classes, you have your college. In the first 6 months, you have your classes, you have your college. So it's not possible for you to like go home again and read all the theory subjects and retain it. So a reading at that time would not be feasible. But you can solve your practical subjects. So when you keep solving and on a consistent basis, and like you pass the first 6 months, then in the last 3 months you don't have to solve practical even a bit because yeah, in the further session Ankur will be explaining about handwritten notes. So we started 9 months earlier with our handwritten notes, and in the last 3 months for the practical subjects we only studied handwritten notes. And like you won't believe me, but we didn't solve any sums in the last 3 months. Only the question papers and the RTBs. So yeah, that way you can start with practical, and in the last 3 months you can cover theory. And some tips we would be sharing about covering theory. Like in 10 days you can cover the whole subject, and that too covering every part. Okay, over to you, Dipshi.
Right. Thanks, Pratmesh. Also, one piece of advice for everyone who are asking what should be the approach for studying. So, I understand as compared to CA final. So, for CA final, we get a really long leave, but that's not the case in inter. So, in inter, what happens is your classes get over at a really late stage, wherever you may be studying. So, what happens is one blanket piece of advice for all the students, irrespective of where you study, it is whatever is being taught during the whole day, whenever you go home, you freshen up for half an hour, 45 minutes, or have your dinner, talk to your family. After that, you glance through the entire notes that have been taught during the day, you have made during the day, and whatever sums that have been taught during the day, if at the end you are revising it again, so that would get half the job done if you're doing it at the same day. And also, if you can make a weekly ritual to study whatever has been taught all throughout the week, if you are assigning a day, a Saturday or a Sunday for this weekly revision, that would make your job easier towards the end. Thanks, Dipshi.
Guys, I'm really sorry if there's some network issue from my side because
No,
I'm
no,
not.
no worries. No worries. You can go ahead. So, Dipshi, next question. Will
Yeah,
you be
just a
able to
second.
ask?
Actually, there's some network issue. I'm not at my
Uh,
home. I'm somewhere out. So
Okay,
there's a
so
lot
what
of
we can do is maybe if you can send the question list to
no, no,
Pratmesh or
no, no,
anyone.
no. Listen, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
completely fine. I have tried to sort it out. So don't
Okay,
worry.
okay, no problem.
Yeah, I was just fixing it again. That's it. Yeah, so we move ahead. Now I would request Ankur to answer these few questions. So the first question to Ankur is, according to you, what would be the significance of handwritten notes?
So my opinion coming on this might be too biased because I had heard from my seniors that you should start preparing handwritten notes at least for practical subjects and they would be helpful. So initially I was not very keen on this. I thought this is just a waste of time. I can study it in the end. But slowly and steadily, as I started making them, as I started preparing for my chapter-wise tests with them, I realized how important they are. So what happens is, first of all, you're writing this with your own hands and with your own understanding of the subject or of the topic. That makes a very deep impact because see, you are currently studying from your XYZ classes book, which some professor has made, and you have to understand what this professor has written. But in the handwritten notes, you are writing what you have understood from the topic. So it is your own understanding that you're writing, which is why it becomes very easy for you to recall it after some time. And I would suggest that you give more and more examples after every concept, because once you start giving examples, even I mean, for me personally, I used to give a lot of examples. After writing some concept, I would give some example. So when I was reading or when I was revising from my handwritten notes, I would just go to the example and I could instantly recall, okay, मैंने उस टाइम पे इस माइंडसेट से ये एग्जांपल सोचा था, सो वो ये कंसेप्ट के बारे में बात कर रहा है, and it was very easy for me, became very easy for me. And this is particularly very useful for practical subjects, obviously. For theory, I would not advise handwritten notes as such, but I would say that your own understanding of the theory subject, you should make sticky notes and you should put it in your textbook, in your notebook, something like that. Now, how the Parolia twins were talking about audit, my personal opinion with audit has been that I have always thought of audit from an auditor's point of view. Okay, so the question comes and I think, okay, I am a chartered accountant, I am an auditor of this company. Now, what should be my approach towards solving this? So that is how I've always understood audit as a subject, and that is how I always wrote audit in the paper. So that is something which helped me. And well, I would also just suggest that you should have a friend with you. Okay, so I had Prathamesh Siroya, who is one of the panelists here. Now I am making the notes according to my understanding of the topic and subject. It might be the case that I have not took everything or every situation into consideration, or I might have even made a mistake. So what me and Prathamesh used to do is we used to make the chapter-wise notes together, and after some time we used to exchange it. So I used to go through his notes, and there were instances where I found mistakes in either his notes, in my own notes, or maybe something I had written which was very complicated, and he wrote in a very easy way. So I was like, yeah, this is more smart, and I can put it in this way. So it helped me a lot. And I would also like to say regarding handwritten notes is that don't take it from anyone else. Okay, I wrote it according to my understanding of the topic and according to what my capabilities are, how I thought I could understand it 9 months down the line. right? You might be different, someone else might be different. So even if you're referring to someone else's note, please make it a point that you are doing it on your own. You're writing it with your own hands and with your own understanding of the topic. And lastly, when you are sitting down to solve prelims or MTPs, RTPs, I always made it that whenever I made any error or any mistake in the same, I used to write it in my notes. I used to put 2-3 pages blank at the end of every chapter so that I could write it. So I had written like 2019 November attempt MTP, I made this mistake. So while revising, I used to look at this mistake. I was like, okay, I've made this mistake. Now I have to keep that in mind the next time I don't make it. And believe it or not, it did help me in the exams with one sum from fire insurance claim. Some mistake that I was constantly making and I did not do it in the exam. And I'll also tell you something that you guys might be interested in. So for my paper, for my 4 practical subjects, accounts 1, accounts 5, and costing and FM. For all these 4 subjects, one day before the exam, I only studied from my notes. And although I did not get as much as the Parolia twins, I ended up getting 85 plus in all the 4 subjects. So I feel it is really helpful and you should try it out.
To add on something.
Yeah. Yes, Ankur, even I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question to you is that now that we do not have, earlier what used to happen was we used to go to our classes and give the tests over there. So we had someone to come, to be there to correct our papers. What would you want to say in, the current situation where you do not have anyone else who's there to correct your papers? So how do students get it done?
So you have to obviously correct your own papers, and okay, now we can say whatever we want here, but at the point of correcting our papers, all of us know we get some sort of bias in our mind. Even if we've made one mistake, we're like, "Arey, theek hai na, आधा mark है, 1 mark, I should give full marks." So it does happen. It did happen with me also, but well, you have to have a very strong willpower to go through it. And me and Prathamesh again, we did it together. We made a sort of let's say we made a sort of a principle, like what we are going to give, what are the grades that we're going to give ourselves. So I'll talk for theory subjects first. Now for MCQs, it was either right full marks, wrong for 0 marks, right? So that is very simple. For the practical, for the answers, the subjective answer that you have to write. So in that, we made it a point that even if the answer is right, word to word, we will give ourselves only 70% of the marks for each answer. And we made a sort of an approach that in the conservative approach, we'll give ourselves maximum only 50% of the marks. So suppose it is a 4-mark question, the maximum which we could get was 2 marks in it. And in the conservative approach, and in the moderate approach, it was 70% marks. So because of this, when we corrected our papers, the final marks we got sort of a prize, sort of a mark range, which was the minimum marks that we are going to get in this subject. So although there was some bias in the 70% marks, when we made sure that we gave only 50% of the marks, that was eliminated. So we could understand where we stand from the subject's point of view, what are the minimum marks that we're going to get, and hence we could build up on that and prepare for other subjects in the same way. But it is really very important that you have someone with you, okay, to keep a check on this. Now, if you're doing it yourself, you're going to give yourself lots of marks. I mean, I would have scored 100% in every paper. So you have to make sure you have someone with you. And if you follow some sort of strategy, maybe not exactly the same, a bit tweaking around that you can do. But yeah, that would be very helpful. And you can get a minimum percentage criteria that you will get. As for practical subjects, I feel it is very straightforward. You'll have your professors telling you maybe in accounts that you've made one entry mistake, you deduct 1 marks. You've not written notes, you deduct another mark or 2. But yeah, make it a point that when you're checking the paper, the notes that you write in practical subjects are very important from the exam perspective also. Because the checker needs to know how you came at that particular number or that assumption. So you have to give a lot of marks for that too. Right, that is it from my side, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, even I would like to add something over here. So what I personally did was, even I used to have one friend of mine who is a part of the panel, as well. He's Shobhit Bafna. What we used to do was, we actually used to exchange our papers. And then we used to correct those papers. So what used to happen was, if I have made a particular mistake, and and the other person is checking, usko bhi realize hoga ki haan, this is a type of mistake that that might be possible. And if you talk in another way, there would be a question jahan par both of us have written proper correct answers, but there might be a case that both of us have a different way of solving it. So when you check each other's papers, you get to know about that as well. But that does not mean you keep 10 different friends and sabka paper you're checking and you're doing all of that time pass. Even if you all are 2 people to do this, ensure that it's just you all two, and you all are not wasting time on that. So you need to keep maybe for a 20-mark paper, you can just have this thing in mind that a half an hour is the maximum time that we'll be given to correct as well as discuss for the paper. So you guys can try that as well.
Okay, another last thing while checking the paper, as I mentioned earlier, you make sure that you put a cross note in your notes if you are making any sort of mistake so that you have it for future reference.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ankur. So we move ahead. Now we have Rohil to answer a few questions. Okay. So the first question for Rohil is that how to cope up with stress during the journey as well as during exam days, like those 16 days of exams. So, I mean, those are some very difficult days to go through. So, what would you like to say on it?
Yeah, Dipshi, just give me 1 minute. Sorry for the delay. I was having some issue with my camera. Okay, so Dipshi, talking about the exam stress question, few of my points have already been discussed by the panelists. So continuing to that, I would like to say, firstly, don't overstudy a lot. Don't stress yourself because people do stress a lot around the number of hours to study. But I would like to say that is quite subjective because usually people say 12 hours is a must for CA exams. But I have seen people who have studied for 16, 17 hours also and have still flunked. And on the other side, many people have studied even for 7, 8 hours and still managed to pass with good numbers. So I basically feel that quality is much more important rather than the number of hours of study. People usually compare with their friends how much hours they are studying, and so I would also people usually compare with their rankers. If he's studying for 12 hours, so why I can't I study for 13 hours? But that actually puts a lot of load on you. So basically, if you are able to be, if you are efficient and you can cover the required portion, which Shobhit already said, setting goals, and if you are able to complete that much part in the required hours, then you are good to go. No need to stress a lot about the hours of study. Also, talking about taking regular breaks, I feel there is nothing harsh in taking regular breaks. One should definitely do that. In the initial phase, never sit for more than 2 hours. Always have a 10-minute break in between where you just are relaxing, taking power nap, which someone already mentioned, and talking with your family and friends. And try not to take your mobile phone in that break, because this is the issue which I had faced in my initial months of study. Like when I used to have this 10 minutes break, I used to take my phone and go through Instagram and scrolling through that. And it used to be like I would end up wasting probably 1 hour or 1.5 hour. You don't realize how much you are scrolling, and it ends up wasting a lot of time. So you basically don't touch your phone in that break. And if you think that if you are having any problem with the phone distraction, or if you are feeling distracted, then what you can do is you can always give your phone to your parents and tell them that I don't give me access to this phone while I'm studying. And if supposingly we usually use WhatsApp or nowadays Telegram also for solving all our doubts. And if suppose while studying you are having such any kind of these doubts, you can ask from your parents' phone, and you can just post your doubts and then return them back. So basically try not to get distracted by this phone thing. Also, I would like to say that don't compare yourself, because we usually have a habit of comparing ourselves with our friends while talking ki tera kitna hua, and you usually end up taking a lot of stress about that, because everyone has their own pace of studying, and you can't expect that everyone would be covering the same portion that time, because someone might have completed supposingly accounts, and you might have completed advanced accounts, but unka accounts nahi hua abhi tak. So everyone is at same level at inter CA. You and your friends, your peers are at the same level. No point of talking to them and comparing and taking a lot of load. Also, sometimes you may feel that while talking to some particular set of people, we all have such set of people in a group. that you might be feeling a lot of stress talking to them. They might put a lot of pressure on you. They might be saying, this time to I expect a rank from you, we expect a lot from you, and we take a lot of pressure about all of these things. So try shutting all of these people, at least I'm not telling not to talk to them, but try avoiding all those kind of distractions. And at least for the study period, if you're not comfortable with them, you can always tell them that I don't want to discuss what how much portion we are done yet. Uh, Also, one more thing you can do is not to have high targets in your mind before starting to study. See, get thinking I want to get a rank or pass with good numbers is great, but if you always sit for studying thinking about all of this, then you might take a lot of pressure, and it might affect your overall efficiency for the day. So it's better if you are not setting very much high targets for yourself. It's good to have such high targets, but not taking a load about it. You just do your hard work, and automatically the result will be outcome of that. Also, during your papers, we can see that not all papers are going to be easy. In both groups, minimum one paper would be there, which would be very much, it would be tough and it would be lengthy. So in that 15 minutes reading time, we might get a lot of tension that, okay, so this paper is a lot of lengthy, tough, I might not be able to solve this. You might encounter a lot of problems, but you just think that time that this paper is tough and it is lengthy, but that is going to be for everyone. You are not the only one who's suffering. It's an all India exam. Everyone is getting the same paper. Everyone is going to suffer because of that, and everyone is going to think it is tough and lengthy. So you just have to do is that how do you in every paper we can see that there are at least minimum 40 marks to 45 marks questions which are very easy even in the tough and lengthy papers. So what you have to do in these papers is identify these type of questions first in the 15 minutes reading time. Forget about the rest of questions. In, I would say, probably 1.5 hour, first 1 hour or 1.5 hour, try picking up these easy questions which you know the most, the 40-45 marks questions, and cover that first. So at least you are secured about passing. Then once your mind is set, then automatically those tough questions answer also you might get by trying more and more. And in these papers, try if you're not able to cover the entire 100 marks, no problem. Even covering 80 marks would be great. So if sometimes the paper might be lengthy and 20 marks ka, if you're not able to complete 10 marks, 20 marks, 15 marks, no need to stress about that. Once you complete the paper, don't think about that paper, leave that paper in the exam hall only, and then only go home. People have a habit of discussing papers after completing in the exam halls over the phone. After you reach home, your friends might call you ki, what was the answer of this. So you don't have to discuss, because it, if supposingly your answer goes wrong, it might end up taking a lot of toll you, and particularly in the first paper accounts only, if you get to know all of these things, your entire 7 papers will be ruined, I'm telling you. So it's very important that you don't discuss. Okay, after all your 8 papers are done, then you discuss, then it's okay, nothing wrong in that. But while the exams are going on, don't discuss about all of these things. Because yeah, it might take a lot on you. Also, one more thing you can do is follow your passion. So one most important thing which you can do to overcome stress is don't leave your passion for CA exams, CA studies. It's okay if you give maybe 1 hour or half an hour out of your day schedule to following your passion, because that might provide you a relief buster. um, Also, during the last 15 days, particularly during the last month, the journey might be very stressful because the exams are approaching. You might have not been able to complete the portion. You might have given filled the form for both the groups, or supposing you're able to complete only one group properly, the other group is still pending. So what you can do is, no need, see, everyone faces all of these tensions and stress. Nothing wrong in that. You can find a mentor. Particularly, you can find anyone, any of your friends or any mentor, anyone with whom you can discuss all your concerns, and basically talking it out helps to relieve a lot of your tension and all. Your parents can also be your best guide. Try involving your parents in your studies, because it might help a lot. as they could be the best guide for you. And it might, talking to them, particularly your mom, might help you a lot. And during the last month, try following the schedule which would you have during those 15 days of exam, particularly the same routine. Like 2 to 5 the exam would be there, so you don't sleep during that time, because if you sleep during that 2 to 5 time, then during your exams also, you might not be able to concentrate well, because you have that habit of sleeping during the 2 to 5 time. So particularly, also you can also do meditation sort of thing. See, I know it does not sound that good. Even I did not believe doing meditation and all sort of things, but trust me, I've seen people and it does wonders. Just sitting 5 minutes, closing your eyes, and concentrating, thinking nothing about studies, just concentrating, and it would help a lot to overcome your stress also. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with one point that Rohil said. I don't know, I disagree with the others, but I would like to specify, emphasize more on this point, that when it comes to discussing with friends. So I'll tell you what happened with me. As for me, I was done with my entire classes ka work. We were given our video lectures, so I was done completing it by June. And all my friends, I mean majority of my friends, were still struggling to get it done. So when I spoke to those people and they were saying ki nahi abhi itna baki hai, I got a sort of overconfidence in my in myself ki nahi ab to mera bahut ho gaya hai, I am much ahead of others. But that was something which actually was one of the element that would have actually destroyed my studies. So I had when I spoke to a few other friends of mine after this, they were the ones to tell me कि अगर तेरा हो गया है तो you need to work on these things, you need to work on these things. I even spoke to a few mentors from Vision CA who helped me out at that point of time. So yeah, so this is, there might be a very negative impact also if you're going good, in your journey. So guys, please be careful for that. Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
agree, Dipshi.
Yeah. Okay. So we have another question for you, Rohil. That according to you, what should be the minimum numbers of papers that should be solved, whether be it chapter wise or be it the full syllabus, the mock, the test series that we appear for?
Okay, so talking about tests, writing tests is very much important. It's not only just about studying that gets you the results. Writing test plays a major role in that, particularly because writing tests would help you gain that writing speed, which will ensure that your paper gets completed in exams. It will make your presentation strong, and it will help identify your mistakes, which you could make beforehand only, so that your final paper would be good. So you have practice of all of these mock papers. So starting first with the chapter wise test, I would suggest go with your classes test only, which if they would give classes test chapter wise. And especially giving chapter wise test is very much important for practical subjects, that is accounts, advanced accounts, taxation, costing, and FM. Because in practical subjects there are a lot of chances of making silly mistakes, and hence ensuring giving tests, and if we make any of those mistakes, so giving tests helps you identify those mistakes, and also it helps us to identify if any concepts we are weak at, and if you are not understood yet completely, then you can always go and revisit that concept beforehand only, after you complete that chapter, which it is fresh in your mind, so you can again go and revisit that concept. So it also ensures that you're done with one more revision of that chapter. And chapter wise tests you can give probably every Sunday to Sunday. Also, one more thing which you can do for chapter wise tests is uh, you can, after you complete a chapter, pick up ICI material, probably modules, the back illustrations which are there, the exercise, and your RTP. RTP contains chapter wise questions. So you can pick up ICI material, the RTPs, or any of your classes material would also work. What you can do is you can tell anyone in your at your home that pick up randomly 4 5 questions from this chapter which you are done with, based on your confidence. If you are less confident, do solve more questions, pick up 4 5, probably 5 6 7 questions, and tell them to pick it up randomly, and then you just solve that questions within the time limit which you allot, and try evaluating how you did at that test. and how to evaluate, Ankur has already specified, and that strategy was quite good, so you can always follow that. Um Now talking about the mock test, the final full portion test, I would say that give at least two tests, two full portion tests, and that should be completely. I'm not saying give it in rough or anything. Proper two portion tests which are checked by either you or any of your professor, and you also get the marks for that. Proper full portion test is very much required, uh, because what you can do about this two tests is, after you complete your first revision you can give one test, and after you complete your another revision you can give the second test. The test you can, for giving the test, you can give from the past year papers, past 4 year papers, I would say, the mock test papers. Regarding the mock test papers, I would say current year mock test papers are very much important to solve, because you might end up finding either one or two questions always from these mock test papers. So solve current year mock test papers. RTP though you would cover in the chapter wise test only, try covering it beforehand only in the revisions. And regarding RTP, I would like to add one more point is that for RTP of EISSM for current year is very much important, and learn all the questions which are there in the current year's RTP of EISSM, because at least one or two question definitely comes which is same as the RTP. Now coming to the full portion test, you can pick up the mock test papers or the past year papers, and if supposingly you want to give some more tests apart from these two tests, I don't think you will be left with so much time that you can give some more tests. But supposingly if you want to give, if you want to try to give, then try giving it in rough for practical subjects. Like you can see the questions which are not repetitive, the ones which you have already done in the module or the RTP, don't solve that. The ones which are new questions, you can just scribble it down or solve it in rough, not with proper format and all. So, and also for that is for practical subjects, and also for theory no need to write it again. After you complete two full portion tests, what you can do is you can see the question paper, read the question, then try thinking about the answer in your mind, like what could be the answer, the all the head points particularly of EISSM or anything, the keywords, if you are able to recollect it or not. And supposingly if you are able to recollect, very good, take that question, go to the next one. If you are not, then open your textbooks and revise that question again. So this will ensure that you are able to cover a lot many papers apart from the two papers which you have already written down. Also, people ask me like, what is the point of giving tests for theory papers? Like theory, so we have to learn only, no point in writing tests for that. So I would like to say, particularly for audit and law, learning and writing is completely different. What you learn and what you write down, it's completely different. You might learn something else, and if you're not given a test or a mock test, then you might not be comfortable writing that answer, because in law there is a law and audit both, there is a particular way of answering questions. In law, first we write the what's the case saying, the provision, then our explanation to that provision, and the conclusion. So following that format along is very much important. So hence giving at least two tests for theory would be of great help. And also try to give these two tests, because don't directly go to the exam paper and without giving any of the tests, because the final exam paper would end up being your mock paper. So try always giving the test. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rohil. And also there are a lot of people who come and tell कि क्या test में 3 hours waste क्यों करना है and all of that. Guys, it is not waste of time. It is investment of time. Believe me, it is investment of time. You get to learn a lot when you give your test. You study for 3 hours and you give 3 hours ka test. There's a vast difference between both of them. You know, they are completely two different things. They are not something that can be compared at all. So people, you cannot be of the opinion ki nahi, I am already running out of time, mera already portion baki hai, I can't give test. No, that is a very wrong approach. You cannot, you know, be of the opinion ki mere pehle portion complete karna hai, baad mein I give the test. No, that should not be the case.
Also, Dipshi, I would like to add by saying that try, when you're giving the full portion test, try giving it at least one of the tests in that 2 to 5 time. I think so now it is 3 to 6. I'm not sure. For May 21, it would be 3 to 6. So try giving your test, full portion test in that time only. So you have prior experience of writing papers in that time slot only, which will also improve your concentration and your efficiency while you're giving your final papers. Also, many times if you're not comfortable, you think that giving test in 2 to 5 and then checking it affects our post day productivity. Like after giving the test, you are not able to study. So one more thing which you can do is, at least for one of the tests, you can try giving the test at night, probably 7 to 10, and after that you check. So till 7 you're able to study for the day.
Yeah, so you can even consider what Shobhit just said earlier, that if you give your test in the first half of the day or early in the day, you have time to improve those particular mistakes, in the latter half of the day. If you give your test at 9, supposing you start your test at 9, so you just have, you appear for your test from 9 to 12, you will not have time to evaluate yourself, to correct yourselves. So you must give that time to yourself and manage accordingly. You need to first evaluate yourself ki how much time would you need to correct yourselves and all of that. So just that is very much subjective, so do consider that as well before writing your test.
Dipshi,
Okay, so
I'd like to add
yeah.
one thing to what Rohil said. Now, as Rohil said, you have to write 2 papers. I will tell you my own personal case. I've attempted about 4 to 5 papers, out of which 3 to 4 papers I give it very loosely. I was like, "Acha, ye question to aata hai, ye dekha hua hai, ye kiya hua hai." And only one paper I give seriously. So when Rohil means 2 papers, he means those 2 papers seriously. Please don't give it lightly. Because of that, what happens is you miss out on the silly mistakes that you would have made in the question if you would have attempted it. So make sure that 2 papers you write very seriously, and the rest, if you want, you can do it loosely. It's okay, but make it a point to do it seriously. Okay.
Yes, agreed, Ankur.
Yeah, so we move ahead, and now we have questions for everyone's favorite Prathamesh. So, okay, so the first question to you is that uh, what would be your tips to write papers? The ICAI papers specifically, and obviously the other ones as well, which you give for yourself.
Okay, so without wasting any time, I would start. And before starting, I would like to say everyone that yeah, one point, inter is very easy. You just have to manage your times and be consistent. That I would be covering in the later part. But yeah, inter is very easy and everyone can clear it. There is just a misconception that like CA is the toughest course. It is not like that. The more you understand, the more your chances are higher that you clear the exam. Now, starting with it, the first paper accounts. Now, I would discuss the strategy for the 15 minutes reading time and for the 3 hours paper and 10 minutes in the last 3 hours. So let's start. Firstly, 2 to 3 points. People have some doubts like do we need to work on presentation and use pencil, eraser, scale? Guys, there is absolutely no rule to use such like use your pencil and scale. You can make lines, you can just fold your papers and make the lines. And you can make the lines with pen and you can even omit to make the lines. As long as your answers are clear, your presentation is suitable. So let's start. So you at least save your 5 minutes time by skipping all these lines and presentation. So starting for the first 15 minutes, like as soon as you receive the paper, what do you have to do? In the first 1 minute, for the every question, you have to see the last part, what the question asks. Like for example, internal reconstruction, partnership, and somewhere there is capital reduction and all that. You just have to see what the question asks. And if you feel comfortable, you have to just take the question and yes, I will attempt it. And in the overall paper, like people start to read the whole question at a stretch. So you cannot complete the 15 all the papers in the 15 minutes reading time. You have to see what the question asks and then try to attempt that. Yeah, I know internal reconstruction, I will attempt this and then read the question. Yeah, so that's common for all the questions and common for all the papers, sorry. And yeah, in the 3 hours, what you have to do? Like you have to complete every question in 30 minutes. 30 minutes, you have to complete a full question for accounts and advanced accounts. The first question is compulsory, which talks about the accounting standards. So people say that you can attend the accounting standards at last because yeah, they are theory questions and you have to write a lot and they take about 30 minutes. But no, I tell attend the accounting standards in the first. They are the most easiest part, and if you attempt all of them correctly, like you secure your 20 marks over there, like you increase your chances of passing the exam. I would also be covering how to increase your chances. Yeah, so you have to attempt the first 20 marks and make sure that you complete in 30 minutes all the accounting standards. As you all know, the portion of accounting standard is not so vast, so yeah, you can cover it. It's not a big deal. Now going forward to question 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in question 6, the last question, there are 5 subparts. So first go on question 6. The 5 parts subparts are usually very small. So you can see that if you are able to solve all the 5 sub questions and you know the answer, like for example, in advanced account paper there was a question of liquidation, unsecured creditors, and workers' compensation, something like that. And that was completely a module question, and we have to apply just 2 formulas over there, and you get the answer. So that 5 marks question I solved in just 2 minutes. And yes, I am ordering my paper, so I can see if I got it all correct. So I will be sharing it with you. So yeah, so first you see question 6 and question 1. If you see both this question and cover 40 marks over here, then yeah, in the first 1 hour or 1.5 hour, you clear your paper by the passing percentage. In the next 1.5 hour, you focus on exemptions and 70 plus. Like now, before describing it, I would like to say that I scored 85 plus in both advanced accounts and accounts. So this strategy is very useful. Now you see question 2, question 3, question 4. And the strategies are same for accounts and advanced account. I will be covering like practical subject and theory subject together. So and question 5, I think. Yeah, question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are sub questions, 2 sub questions in each question. It would be like 10 mark or 15 or 5 mark. So first see the 10 marks question. If you are able to cover it, then well and good. And also see the 15 marks question, because 5 marks question as it is, you can cover fast and like you can increase your passing percentage. Like yeah, I solved this paper in just 1.5 hour, like covering my 40 marks. So see that you are able to solve that 5 marks sum, and then see the 15 marks sum. Okay, I can solve this, and even in 15 marks sum, don't hesitate if you don't know the last part or one adjustment. Go on with it, because in ICI you get marks for every adjustment. So that is the most beneficial part over there. Even if we solve the paper, like in tax, I give you an example for the total income part, the tax liability part, and uh, total income, tax liability, and there is something like AMT in our attempt. So it was just for 4 marks out of the 14 marks. So you can easily cover 10 marks in the formatting, in the adjustments, and putting the balance items here and there. So it's very easy to pass. Don't think that you cannot pass the paper. So that was all for accounts. I would take the specific doubts from Dipshi later. And now let's move on to the next paper, that is law. Now law, there are 22 MCQs, I think, some of 2 marks and some of 1 mark, and then you get the paper. And there are some case studies. Now in law paper, uh, I don't know. There is some discrepancy in ICI. They sometimes give 15 minutes prior the MCQ booklet and sometimes not. So I explain you both the case scenarios. If you get your MCQ booklet 15 minutes prior, then one of my friend did this, Ankur Tibrewala. On the rough page, he wrote all the question numbers like 1 to 50 or 1 to 22, and he wrote the option number A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, like that. So when he got the answer sheet, it just took him 5 minutes to fill up the answer sheet for the 30 marks MCQ. He utilized his 15 minutes to write the answer, and it is absolutely fine, because if you write on the rough page, you have to, as it is, give the MCQ booklet. So there are no issues in writing on the rough page. And also in some of the questions, like now moving on to the questions, you cover your 30 marks over here, and the law question paper. Now in the law question paper, you will getting case study question and both theory questions. So first see the theory questions. Like just a 5 minute overview, like what they are asking. If you're comfortable with it, take the question or put some small marker. Don't let anyone get that you are writing on the paper, and it should not be a case of copying and that. Just put some light marker that you know this question and move on ahead. Covering that, now you get case scenarios question. Now 15 minutes will be over in that time, but even if you get time that you have to read the case scenario and see what the facts are in the case. Like there are some important facts, like giving an example. In law, there is something like sending a notice of the AGM, and in AGM, you there should be a 21 days clear notice, and if you send by a post, then you should get 48 hours. You should exclude 48 hours while calculating that 21 days. So you have to underline some of these points. Like in our attempt, there was a question like the company sent the notice by post. The word by post here was important. Just mark that important words and move ahead. So while solving paper, in that 15 minutes, you actually cover your 1 hour writing part and 3 hours strategizing part. So that 15 minutes are very important. Uh, law, covering law. Any specific doubts in the last part, the last Q&A round? Now for costing. Now costing is one of the favorite subjects. Like people think that we cannot pass or we can easily pass. So sorry, I just missed that 15 minutes. If you don't get that 15 minutes, yeah, if you don't get the MCQ sheet in the 15 minutes, what you can do? You just read the question papers and make sure that you cover every part of the question paper, the adjustments and all that. Like I told by post and all that. I also said that you would not be getting the 15 minutes. Like it would fall short. But if you don't get the MCQ booklet, then try to cover the whole question paper. Going forward with costing. Costing question 1 is compulsory and you would be getting 5 marks for questions. So 20 marks, and question 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 marks each. In that you would be getting either 10 mark or 15 mark, 5 mark, the same case. Now in that, again, your first priority is question number 1. Don't try to keep question number 1 in last. You have to complete it first because that makes a paper impression. Yeah, people also say that how to impress the paper check. In accounting standards, I told you accounting standards are the easiest part, and like if you solve them first without any discrepancy, then there may be a possibility that paper checker will be lenient on you. Same goes for the other subject. Now for cost, am I audible correctly?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. So about costing, question 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in costing, it is the same approach as accounts, just underline the last part. And in costing, there are some particular things that you have to make sure. Like they twist you in one part of the question. Like I was twisted in one part. That was question number 1, subpart C, I think, in November 20 attempt. They told that the department A has a restricted hours of 2000 only. So how would you allocate the work and something like that? So in costing paper, read the complete paper correctly and mark the important points where you can be twisted. Just a star mark will also be fine. So don't worry. Yeah. So about costing, about solving, you don't need to use your pencil. Like I didn't use. You can use if you have time. I use my pen and like suppose you are reading cost sheet. So I just made a line on the right hand side of the page, and yeah, my column and my full format was done. On the top, I wrote particulars and rupee symbol, and I just started. So don't waste your time in presentation. You don't complete your paper. Most of the people don't complete their paper. It is just like they complete 80 marks and skip the 20 marks. I have a friend who just attempted 60 marks. So please don't waste your time on presentation. If you have time, go for it. Now comes the next part, tax and IDT. So Vision C has already released a guidance note prepared by the panelists themselves. So they have shared their experience how to write the notes, but okay, to overlap it, tax uh, is the subject that most of the people face problems, and this time the tax paper, most of the people flunked in the tax paper because they were not able to complete the paper. Now I tell you how to complete the paper, like the approach. First, you have to solve DT practical sums. Practical sums, as in you can keep the total income sum at last or leave space for it and go on with the rest of the sums like gross income, salary, PGBP, house property. So yeah, you go forward with practical of DT and make sure that you don't write the additional notes in this time. Don't waste your time on additional note because you can miss your rest of the paper. Additional note, I guess people are understanding that you have to explain what you have done in the question if you see the DT module. So first attempt the practical for DT, then go for practical of IDT. There would be two separate answer sheets if you know for DT IDT. So make sure you don't mess up your bench and then get confused. So stay calm and go for it. So practical of DT, practical of IDT. Then again you have to do the practical total income sum. This was the approach that I followed. So I tell you the importance of this approach also. Practical of IDT sum. Then you have to do theory questions of IDT. And then if time permits, I hope that you all get time. And in the last part, you have to write the additional notes that should complement with your answer. Yeah, additional notes. So now the importance of this format. First, if you solve practical DT questions, high possibility that you get the whole question correct, and it will boost up your confidence. Confidence is the most important thing that all the mentors even know that if you lose your confidence, then even if you know the whole provisions, then even then you cannot clear out the paper. Just keep your confidence to the highest level throughout the paper. So practical DT, practical IDT. These questions are like 5 marks, 10 marks, and you can easily go through this and you have practice questions. And I say I generally don't make much changes in these types of questions. So yeah, you can attempt this. And then for practical IDT and theory of IDT. Now, why first theory and not additional notes? Because additional notes only cover like 3 to 4 marks in your paper. But theory of IDT covers about 15 marks, 20 marks of the whole paper. So that's most important. You first cover your passing percentage and then you go for the additional things. So that's how you maintain your presentation. Leave your space for additional notes and all that. Yeah, so that was all about group 1. Proceeding to group 2, advanced accounts is already done. Now audit, EIS, SM, and eco, taking all the theory subjects together. Now, what do you have to do? First, the basic part is MCQs. Achha, one thing about the DT paper, most of the people have confusion. Touquir would be covering how to cover DT and IDT in 1.5 days, but just additional from my point, make sure that you revise ITT more often because ITT and DT has equal weightage, but their content is vastly like unproportional. IDT has a lesser content and DT has more content. So make sure you make most revisions of IDT first and then DT. Revisions are equally important, but IDT is more important. Yeah, proceeding, audit, EIS, SM, and ECO. So here you would be covering 30 marks in MCQs. So guys, don't forget MCQs is the most important thing in these papers because they assure that you clear out. So before proceeding, like I scored fairly enough, 75 plus in all the 3 subjects. Not audit for 63 only, but yeah, other subjects I scored fair. So I give you a strategy. Just solve the MCQs first. Like if they give the paper first, then solve the MCQs first and then go for the question. Now there won't be much reading part in IT, SM or like that, but you have to just read the last part and make sure what they have written. And for SM, there would be a 5-mark question in the beginning. That would be a case scenario. Make sure if in the 15 minutes, if you get time, you go through the case scenario also, because that would help you in the latter part of the answer, latter part of solving. And about EIS and SM, something about the portion people have a doubt that you cannot complete the whole EIS subject only. So yeah, I also agree with that, and I left the whole third chapter for summary questions in EIS, like subjective questions. And for the objectives, I covered that third chapter to a great extent. So yeah, you can just filter out your content, and that would be the most beneficial. I would not be speaking much on filtering because in the 9 months, you people will know by yourself that what you have to filter. Covering the last part, FM and eco. Guys, this paper is such that every one of you present in the meeting can get an exemption in these two papers. These are the most easiest paper I think I've ever done. Eco is something like even you miss a chapter because of lack of time, you get only a 2 to 3 mark question that you don't know. So 2 to 3 mark is fairly enough. You can take that risk, but FM is 60 mark and very important. So FM, we have to cover each and every concept about adding to Ankur's points on handwritten notes. We made FM handwritten notes exclusive. Like we covered every part in that. Cost of capital, so like capital budgeting, everything. Even a small question that yeah, you have to take brokerage on the face value and not the market price. There are some questions in FM like that. So we covered even that point. So if you do well, make notes, then you can easily clear out these two subjects. So about I covered the subjects and paper writing. So any more questions, Dipshi?
Yeah. Okay, so we move on to the next one. Uh, the next question for you is that what would you there's this one student who is asking that how to manage studies with college.
Yeah, okay, so I would love to answer that question. I'm from NM College, and you all know that how strict the attendance is in NM Mitibai. So yeah, in the first 6 months, along with your classes, you have to attend your college. Now I give a hack of NM and Mitibai, especially because I know the attendance system of these two colleges. Uh, for the first 6 months, along with your classes. Now it is as it is online, but if the colleges start, then I give you a hack. Online colleges, you all know what the trick is, and yeah, so I would not like to discuss on that. About if you attend the colleges, so what you have to do for the first 4 months, rigorously attend all the lectures, don't miss any part. In the lectures, what you can do, I mentioned previously that for the first 6 months you have to solve practical only. So covering up that, in the first 4 months when you attend your college, just solve practical questions in your classes. Like you are attending your college, just sit on the back benches and do your practical questions. Even your college teachers understand that you are pursuing C, and they allow you sometimes. Like our college was great in that. For my case it was. So you have to attend, you have to solve practical questions in that and cover that 4 months. Now when there are the last 2 months of the college, you can just easily skip the college, providing that your attendance is near 100%. And you can, like I skipped the first two lectures. I went to college at 7 a.m. for the library, and I missed the first two lectures. I studied till 9 p.m. Sorry, 9 a.m. in the library itself, and then for the last two uh, periods, for the last two lectures, I went to the classes for just like getting fresh and doing some musty in the class. So yeah, that was our agenda. So even if you attend for the first 4 months rigorously, then in the last 2 months, you can even attend 4 days in a week or 3 days in a week. So that would be beneficial in the last 2 or 3 months if your college is working. And something more about it. Yeah. So in NMETY, they give a cumulative attendance. Sorry, I'm covering other colleges also in it, but I was specifically from NMETY, so that word is on my tongue. So like in our colleges, the attendance was cumulative. They count from the first day. So if our college attendance is like high in the first 4 months, then the 2 months will compensate, and you can easily cover the 75% criteria or the 50% criteria, whatever your college mentions, and you can also cover your studies. So that wouldn't be a great difficulty. Yeah, Dipshi, over to you.
Yes, Prathamesh. So the next question for you is that how to ensure consistent study and revision along with classes every day. And this question is especially for students who are November 21 students. So they currently they have their classes going on. So what would you like to say on that?
Yeah, so you just mentioned November 21. I also forget. I have something for May 21 also. So please wait, guys. For November 21, you have 9 months starting from now. Just let me count. So you have 7 months in hand for the November exam. Now, while preparing your timetable, always exclude the last 1 month. That's a most important thing. You don't consider that your exam is in November. You consider that it is in October only, and you have to just yes, you have a doubt. We can uh, unmute you in the last part of the session. Is it okay? So if you lower your hand, I assume it is okay. So continuing, you just have to exclude that 1 month and cover your portion in 6 months. That is 180 days. Now about consistency, how to cope up with classes, college, and your self-study along with handwritten notes. So yeah. So in the morning you have your colleges, and from 1 to 8 p.m. you have your classes. So till 8 p.m. you're back. Okay. So about consistency approach, what you have to do while your teachers are teaching you in the classes, your like for me and Ankur, uh, it was common. Like we completed the sums, and then we wrote in the class itself what the summary is, like what we understood from the sum and how did we solve with the steps and the important points. So we began our handwritten notes from there only, and then we got home, and then we revised what was taught to us in the college or in the class, and then we made the handwritten notes. So that's the basic concept of how you begin with your handwritten notes. Start with your classes. If you are, if you like a sum click you in an instant, then also you have to write that yeah, it clicked me in an instant, and that was the solving pattern. And if a sum don't click you, then even write a page during the classes itself, like what was in the sum and why it didn't click you and what mistake you made. So you summarize all that when you come home, and that saves a lot of time, because if you make handwritten notes after going home, you have to think that क्या हुआ था classes में कम sum क्यों नहीं आया था and all that stuff. But if you write that why classes में क्यों नहीं आया था in your book itself, and then refer that book, so that handwritten notes hardly take 30 minutes. Like for presentation, our handwriting was not so good, so we used color pens and all that. So for presentation, it takes 30 minutes, but hardly it takes 10 minutes for you guys to cover. So yeah, continuing with it, just yeah, continuing with it about the handwritten notes. Yeah, sorry, I just missed the part about the consistency. Yeah, so for the first 6 months, you have to solve the practical questions. When the classes teacher gives you some practical question, so you solve the questions in the classes itself, and sometimes like the teacher shows you the sum on the blackboard and you solve it. But when you reach home, again try to solve that sum on your own. That's the most important thing, because if you do this and if you succeed in it, I assure you that you don't have to practice much in the last few minutes. So you have to solve that again and write, make your own notes. Now I understand that it is very difficult, so you get a Sunday. So don't just waste your Sunday. Offshed your offshed your backlog on this Sunday. Like we offshed our whole backlog on the Sundays and on the public holidays. So if you consistently study and forget that yeah, there are public holidays, there are time to spend with friends, just focus on the inter, then there is no difficulty in you clearing the inter. However, irrespective of how much smart you are or how much your IQ level is. So yeah, that was on consistency on my side. Yeah, Dipshi. Dipshi.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Prathamesh, for such an exhaustive answer to every question. So we move ahead to asking questions to Touquir.
Just a second,
So
Dipshi.
the first question for you.
Dipshi, just a second. And to all about something about theory, I want to add on, like how to study theory. That part was not covered, I think so. So you can cover theory subjects in the last 3 months and 10 days per subject. You just have to do one thing. Just take your classes notes and do one chapter per day. And the next day you have to do a cumulative revision. Like for example, chapter one of SM on day one. Revise, do one chapter per day, and at the end of the day, just revise it for 10 minutes. In the beginning of the day two, revise the chapter one for 30 minutes and go for chapter two. Now on the third day, you have chapter 1 and 2 cumulative revision and chapter 3 to start. So reduce time for chapter 1, that is 10 minutes, and chapter 2 30 minutes, and then go on with chapter 3. The same is true then for every succeeding day. You have to reduce the time to 10 minutes, and I assure you till the end of the 10th day the whole subject will be over. And with the cumulative revision, like we revise for 8 continuous times in this 10 days, so yeah, that would be best for everyone, I think so. About audit and same. And somebody have some doubt like audit mein language nahi aata. So what I did in my attempt was just I had a lot of in my classes note I have a lot of blank space in the margins. So I just beside every line I just wrote the summary of the line. And during the last 10 days, you won't believe that I just read the summary and the whole language on just a overview. I read the summary correctly. So that benefits you a lot. And yeah, I would like to conclude. Over to you, Toki.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prathamesh. So yeah, so Touquir, you can answer the question that was what should be your. Okay, yeah. So the first question for you is that what should be your mindset during exams?
Yeah, definitely. This is basically the point that after studying with the various great lay of 3 months or 4 months, whatever be the case, and coming towards the exam approach. First of all, it's a thing like you need to be very much confident in yourself, just like Prathamesh said that you need to be confident when you're giving any of your exam, not just your CA exams or any other like stuff exams. Like you need to be very much confident that you have studied yourself and whatever may be the result, whether it's positive or negative, you need to accept that. You just need to give your best. That's basically, I think, like whatever may be the approach, whatever you feel like, just that you think that you are very much at weak those areas. If you strengthen on those areas, then I think that it will help you in that case to succeed in your exams. Like whatever may be the case of whatever be the lead time that you get for exam preparations, just try to be very much calm. Just like Shobhit also said, you need to be very much calm when you give your exams. You need to be have a professional approach towards that. Though you're in CA inter approach, there is something like audit, like various subjects, like where you don't have any practical approach, but still you need to write those theory subjects there. So I think like you need to be very much practical there. You need to be taking your place itself as a chartered accountant, just like Ankit also said. So I think like you need to be very much professional for that. Your approach towards your exams, so that you can write those language basically properly. So yeah, so basically the mindset should be with the respect that you'll be having a positive, good mental attitude also. When you write your exams, as this COVID pandemic and everything, you need to be also be very much having your approach towards health also, that you are very physically fit, so that nothing, anything adverse something comes to you. And yes, so basically the mindset, I would like to tell like this is basically some of the crucial points that when you approach towards your exams.
Yeah, thank you so much. So the next question for you is that uh, how can you ensure full coverage, like maybe maximum coverage of the syllabus in the last 1.5 days that are before your exam?
Yeah, so now basically the 1.5 days criteria that has been set by our ICI to get, though this time is basically a little bit less, may say for the preparation time, but yes, if you have proper planning, nothing can disturb you and you will be able to complete it in a very 1.5 days. First of all, when I start with this 1.5 days exam preparations, I will go subject wise how you need to approach and how you need to can complete these parts and everything. One of the things that I personally feel like when you go for your exams, that your main exams for both the groups are basically, first of all, just like subjects like audit and EISS, and these other subjects, like if you complete and just make one reading of that prior to your main exams, it will be a greater advantage for you. Like basically don't have much of the lead time, like if your exams are starting from 3rd of May or something, like whatever may be the case, just do audit or EISS and these subjects prior to 15 days only, prior to your main exams, because now the lead time will be of 1.5 days every time. So if you approach now for your audit and EISSM, maximum it will take after your 9 days only, you will approach audit and EISSM only. So I personally feel like audit and EISSM, these two subjects that you should need to do prior to your main exam, prior to 15 days of your exam, so that you are very much fresh with those language and everything, so that 1.5 days exam completion preparation time doesn't matters you. So first of all, for the respect to accounts for both the groups, I will basically speak first. That is basically the paper one accounting. That is basically there you are very much liberal there, because how much time you need to give. Some of the people give 2 days, some of the people give 3 days, and like don't give basically a 1 week for that. But yeah, so yeah, 2 to 3 days you can give for your paper one accounting, because it may have a cumulative impact on your other papers also. Because if you get your first paper right, it may also have a good positive approach towards the other papers also. So yeah, for 2 to 3 days you can do proper accounting, try to cover everything, like whatever be your material, and some of the crucial things that you think that your mistakes, and basically noting down and again trying to find it out whether you're making the same mistakes or not. So basically, with respect to accounts, try to cover everything. Just you need to do at the time of a study leave, like when you do used to write your papers at that time. Just as Pratham mentioned, that by giving 3 days time for that papers, and doing it out, checking and everything. Whatever you want, you can do it out. If you want to write any other practical paper, anything like stuff, you can also do that for that accounting paper. So yeah, for your accounts, if you get something like, if you think like you're pretty confident with that, you can start a little bit of law. But I personally feel like giving time more to accounts only will be more beneficial, because in your other way around, you will be able to do law in your 1.5 days only. So for the accounts paper, I will tell that, yeah, so basically give 3 days for that. It will be more beneficial, even though you are very good at that. But yes, it will be beneficial for that. Second paper, when it comes to law, first of all, whatever may be the case, whatever your accounts paper may be tough, it will be very good, very much good also. But forget whatever be the your paper it just went now. Just keep it your paper at your exam. Just as Rohil also said, that just keep your paper at your exam center only. Now just don't think about that paper, whatever went, what I will fail or what will pass or not, and anything like stuff. This should not any negative thoughts to come in your mind. Second paper will be a law. You need to concentrate on that unit, because that's a theory paper. You need to complete within a period of 1.5 days. There you can't make any lenient approach there, because you need to be very much positive towards your time that you get. So on the day of that exams, I will personally fill for any subject when you get for 1.5 days. On that day, when you already have given your paper, I will personally feel like do some things like which are a little bit of greater weightage, but less efforts. I will prefer, like for the law, I will prefer that you start with company law, that I have already that what I did, because exams used to get completed by 2 to 5. I had center somewhere different. It was approx 20 kilometers from here. So with I used to reach at my home at 6 p.m. So 1 hour was used my traveling time. So after coming up, after having a proper, I will say, so basically a snacks and everything I had, and 6:30 I was free, and I used to be with my books. So at that time, I used to, with respect to my law, I used basically the company law. So basically, there you always know that charge creation chapters are there. Then there is deposits chapter, there is dividend is there, then there is accounts of companies. These are basically those chapters which take basically less time, but they are very much beneficial. That basically very much scoring also. So I will prefer that for every subject you do four chapters on that day, on the exam day when you already wrote your paper. So it will be more beneficial for that. And afterwards, get up next day very early if required, because sleep by 11, and I will 10 or 11, whatever may be the case. But whatever way you sleep, at least ensure that you have 6 hours sleep every day during your exam papers, because I have already told that basically the health is also very much important. So 6 hours sleep will be basically bare minimum sleep that you need to have. People, I have seen that people just sleep 4 to 5 hours. I tell basically basically though you have studied everything, but when you give your exams now, so you're not able to produce a best output. That's basically the thing that happened with me in my taxation paper and other AI system paper also, which I will address the later part. But yes, in the case of law, try to have a proper sleep because it's a theory paper. You need to produce the best output there. So yeah, and get up at the next day, complete your company law basically by it may take till 4 p.m. Maybe the case. Complete your company law by 4 p.m. And then basically it will be the laws. I will recommend that do Indian Contract Act and your Negotiable Instruments Act, whichever is you think that basically it's more important for you. So complete those parts and keep your general clauses and your interpretation on the exam day itself. So basically getting up at whatever may be the time again, ensure to have your proper 6 hours sleep and getting up next day again and going through your general clauses and interpretation. And there may be a case that you will be a little bit left with your Indian contract or negotiable, which is applicable. Complete that also. So yes, basically this is basically the entire schedule of law. You'll be able to complete it. One of the things that which have been changed from our attempt basically, there has been a changes in the reference to the quick revision that is basically uploaded by ICA. And one of the things that has been added by the ICA is basically the MCQs and the case study based scenarios booklet that is basically introduced by MCQs. In our attempts, it used to be 30-70 sample MCQs, but for you, it is basically a more comprehensive part that is with respect to MCQs and case study based MCQs booklet. They have been uploaded in our portal itself. They're very, very useful and projectly that I think that much of the content will be from that basically the PDFs only. Basically, in our attempt also, there's sample 30-70 based MCQs had a greater approach for the greater weightage for the paper also. So I will recommend that as this material has been updated of the MCQ study booklet, go refer that for the law as well as for your taxation papers, for your audit, even for your EISSM papers. They're updated for everything. And case study based MCQs will be a point for that. In our attempt, it will be a little bit easy because it was a first attempt for that. But in the coming attempts, they may go difficult for you. So I just want that you go through this as an additional material that is basically obviously it's of ICI only. There's nothing additional part of outside party. It's purely of ICI. Go through that of the MCQs part. And second part for the 1.5 days that may help you for the law part. Basically, it's your reference of the quick revision. They again updated it out. In our attempt, it was not much of the graphs and flowcharts. It was very basically grid paragraphs only. So for your attempt, April, May 21, November 21, go through that for your law part, reference over the quick revision. In that, they're given penalties, full list of the penalties, and for obviously for the other subjects, for the other chapters also, they've given a full flow charts and everything, which you think that you are very much tough at that. So if you think that you're not able to complete that within a period that is basically 1.5 days, go through that basically the chapter only. It's maybe basically 3 to 4 pages only. But though the font size is a little slow, but a little bit of smaller length, but yeah, it is very much good. Within comprising of within 3 to 4 pages every chapter. Like meetings is one of the big chapters. You also share capital and debentures 4 and 7, chapter number 4 and 7, which are very much big. You can go through that difference of calculation, which I think personally feel are very much helpful for you, which may be helpful. And yeah, basically a list of penalties is there in the law paper. It will be very much good for you. So in that case, for penalties, there is a complete list. Even for your small minority penalties, also they've given a full comprised list. Like section 447 is one of the most important one. Then they've given the other various lists also, like section 85 and everything. So yeah. So basically, these are some of the penalties. Full list is given, so you can refer it out, which can help you when you're concluding your answering law part. So yes, basically this was all with respect to your law. Then coming out with costing, again, just leave your law papers aside, whatever may be the case, how it went, everything. And coming up with costing again, I test the costing paper. I used to start with 6:30 only as just my regular schedule. And when you go with 6:30, again, start with those which are various more in marks and less in time. So basically, those chapters consist of basically marginal costing. Then is budgetary control is there. Then there is service costing. Then there is contract costing. ABC costing, that is activity-based costing. These are some of the chapters that you can prefer on the exam day after writing your law paper, because maybe now little will feel exhausted now, because now you properly utilize 1.5 days for any of the paper. Like for accounts, utilize 3 days. Now you utilize 1.5 days for your law. Now there is basically the flow that will start now for your 1.5 days. So yeah, for costing again, try to do solve again the this of the chapters like which will on that day you'll be able to complete, and it will also create a positive attitude also for completing the full paper, paper preparations also. So it will be a good feeling that you completed 4 days on that day itself. Then getting up again at whatever the time, 6 or 7 a.m. I used to get up and complete with the remaining chapters. Some of the crucial chapters that I felt was absorption costing, material and then there was labor and activity based costing also I used to do at this time only because absorption and ABC both were linked at that time. So yeah, I used to solve basically after 4 p.m. I used to touch these chapters. Then I used to because at the morning I used to standard costing and everything like those were some of the chapters that I used to do. After 4 p.m. I used to do these chapters like absorption costing, then material labor, and whatever maybe the remaining case chapters that will be remaining. So yeah, basically this helps in order to complete your entire your costing part. The exam day when there is a costing paper is there. On that day, it's what you need to do is basically some of the mistakes that you made in the solving of your sums, whatever may be the case, because in the 3 months study time you solve papers, a lot of so some of the mistakes you may have come up, and so basically it will help you, to highlight what the mistakes need not to be done, going through RTPs and MTPs, practice, just as Shruti said. So this will be more beneficial if you go through once again. And what I did was basically on that day, this is some of the mistake area that I used to identify, and one of the most important thing that I think basically for May 21 as well as November 21 is basically costing theory part. Honestly speaking, that now there is basically a point that you need to go through the theory parts now again, because for costing in our time it was like the pattern was 884, so 8 marks, 8 marks, and 4 marks. So basically there's 4 marks was basically the theory part, and again there was another question there, it was 884. So in that case 8 marks was like you can't skip only that costing theory you can't skip. So I think basically personally feel like costing theory you need to do. So that theory you do prior to your exam day only, basically on costing. When you write a paper on that day in the morning only you do theory, because it'll be more good, because normally people don't do much of the costing theory in detail. So it'll be more beneficial that it's very much fresh in your mind, that costing theory, so you can write in down and produce a good output in the basically with respect to theory. Try to get good marks there, because it's maybe the case you don't get full, but at least you need to ensure that you get a certain reduction of marks, and ensure that you get good in theory also. So yeah, basically this was the points with respect to your costing. And similarly in accounts also, sometimes they ask some of the theory questions basically in advanced accounts. I will come up in later part. So in costing, yeah, basically these were the points, like try to solve something yourself. This was one of the point that I highlighted here. Prior to your basically your practical papers, like in accounts I told like solve any of the paper if you take, or if you think that you need to solve like something. So I will recommend that you can do that in the accounts, because you're 3 days or 2 days, whatever may be the case. In costing, I solved RTP. I just took the most previous attempt papers of the RTP attempts. Like I took May 2018, I think I'm not mistaken, and May 2018 RTP I took it out, and for costing I solved was for every subject, for every chapter, sorry. So every chapter I used to solve it out, and in rough only. There's no need, obviously you don't you're already writing a 3 marks, 3 hours answer paper, and now again you will not, it's not possible. So yeah, in rough only you need to solve it out your costing paper, like for every chapter. Just make sure your hand goes in, because in that case your mind also needs to function in that way, or in that case for costing purpose, because in the case of cost per unit and everything like stuff, you need to coordinate with everything. With the numbers, it's a game of numbers only. So yeah, you need to be very much practical for that. And so yes, for the practical approach you need to solve it out. So in that case, should you get in the momentum of writing those papers for your costing. So in that case, you get a fresher, because in the 1.5 days, there will be barely minimum case you write something. So I just recommend that prior to your exam, or basically for practical chapters, practical subject papers, you just write it out something, solve it out something like. So basically in that case, you get into momentum. So basically, this is I recommend for every practical subject. So after yes, the costing is done. Again, I just go for taxation now. For the fourth paper, again, forget about costing and everything, how it went, everything like stuff. After costing paper, yeah, now it's taxation. One of the papers that are very lengthy, and especially for the May 21 as well as November 21, it's going to be tough little bit now, because the amendments have come up a lot. GST amendments, and I'm pretty sure how much amendments are applicable to you guys, but for the taxation, direct taxation, I have a clear idea, because we are used to prepare for it interviews also. So we used to get an idea how much amendments are there. So yeah, basically for you guys people, like amendments are there for taxation, a lot of like section 115 BAC, new tax regime and everything. So yeah, this all new tax regimes and amendments will be a lot of points that will play in your role in 1.5 days. For after your costing paper, try to do IDT only, GST only, just like Prathamesh said. I also used GST only because it's very less time consuming, again more in marks. So yeah, basically I used to do IDT only at that time also. So I just did some of the chapters like introduction chapter, then there is supply under GST, charge under GST, then time of supply and place this of value of supply. These are one of the chapter that It's very, very scoring, like time of supply and value of supply and payment of taxation. So payment of tax, which is GST tax. So yeah, basically these were some of the chapters that I did on that day itself after I gave my costing paper. So and afterwards that obviously you need to ensure that in taxation paper I will recommend that you ensure that you have 6 hours sleep proper, because there is a case like in the case of 1.5 days, that's all you need to can have either full coverage or you can have maximum coverage. And taxation is one of the paper that you can have maximum coverage there. In the accounts costing law, you can have still have full coverage of that. But in the case of taxation and EIS system, I will recommend that it may be the case you need to can ensure is basically the maximum coverage that you can get. So yes, for the GST purpose, do this chapter as well. And after getting up and completing the other parts of ITC, basically of respect to your GST, some of the chapters I will tell that for the GST part, keep it at the day of the exam, because there are something things which will be more if do later part will be more beneficial for you, like exemption on the GST. But this is one of the chapters like is very much related for the people. Like some other people just skip it out. Some other people do only main amendments or main exemptions only. So it's very much related term for that. It's basically exemption on the GST. So keep it at the end only of the exam day itself at the morning. So do like returns on the GST and then registration and e-way bills. These are some of the chapters that you can complete within the morning only. And ITC also. So yeah, basically in that case you can complete within the morning itself. Like they are basically very scoring. And ITC is one of the important, yes, basically the ITC, that is input tax credit, this chapter and the exemption. These two chapters are very, very, very crucial for your paper attempt also, I think. So yeah, ITC and exemption also, this both play important roles. So do ITC well. So yeah, these 4 chapters you can do, and just skip one of the papers of your basically your GST part, that is basically your exemption in the GST. Keep it on your exam day. So you're complete with the 9 chapters. There are 10 chapters of IDT, and you're completed already of 9 of part. Now you have GST now. Now come to DT. So basically for DT, what I did basically, and when at what time I started at approx, I know I just noted out in basically after my exam noise, it was approx 10:15 or 10:30. So yes, at approx 10:15, 10:30, I started with DT, direct taxation. So in that case, I used basically only one notes. Basically, there were basically by myself only. That's basically the compact that I made myself. Basically, this was in addition what I had wrote in my classes. There is something like different, like what taught in my classes lectures, because these notes which I had prepared basically were consisting of the main provisions of that and something additional points which I got from ICI module during my first reading itself. So yeah, so these are basically the compact notes that I created during my first reading. This was only the part that I did at my direct taxation paper. So yeah, I highly recommend that make notes in taxation. For just I told about law, like for the quick reference that for the, you can recommend for a quick revision part. In the law, they are given for every chapters they are given to you, and there is a separate penalties list. In the case of taxation, I may think that for the November 21 students, they may be having a complete all the chapters list and flowcharts, but currently there is only advanced tax, TDS, TCS, and I think returns wala chapter. I think yes, these 3 chapters they are covered up in the quick reference of a quick revision. So yes, you're not able to find out much about that. But yes, they are highly recommendatory because in the case the TDS part, they're getting full of the chart for that purpose, and there's some of the key points they're highlighted. And yeah, so basically for that purpose, also you can recommend that if you don't have any well-furnished notes of yourself, any of the classes or anything like stuff, yes, you can refer that for difference of a quick revision. So yeah, basically I had my notes, so I don't know how I didn't use those quick revision part, but yes, this compact notes helped me a lot, which I favored myself. Some of the basically the ICR part that I had basically noted out from the model I read with the red pen. So basically, it helped me with respect to what were the key points that I took from the ICR module. So some of the sections were not taught to me, so I was not knowing only. So basically, so those basically with respect to TDS, TCS, I was not knowing. So section 194F, section 190, some of the sections where I was not totally aware of. So I just wrote in my notes itself. So basically, I was having a clear idea. So basically, trying to get maximum coverage here with the help of that. So yeah, so that will basically help me with my direct taxation paper. So yes, basically that was one of the points I think basically for you can do. And at the exam day itself, what you need to do, basically I just told that exemption is one of the chapters that I took it at the exam day. Because in the case of exemption, there were points like there were a lot of amendments in the exemption criteria only, category only. And the other part was basically that the other amendments also were a lot of that in the direct taxation paper. So yes, I just took the amendments on that day. And again, in the case of taxation, there were case study, there is MCQs that basically I will recommend that you guys do now itself, the May 21 start from now itself, and for November 21, be ready for to solve this case study based MCQs. So because in that case there will be some of the doubts that may arise, some of them may go wrong also. So in that case, prior to that only you need to see those doubts and basically your mistakes that you made. So prior to that exams, on the exam day, you need to go through your amendments, whichever are applicable for your previous year, and case study based MCQs, basically, which are again is updated on ICF portal with respect to Part A and Part B. It is approximately 120 pages for DT and I think 79 pages for IDT. So yeah, basically these two are basically the new MCQs booklet which have been added, and I'm pretty sure it will help you a lot because these MCQs are very hard to crack. They are basically a full link of all your provisions that you do in your direct taxation. So yes, it basically will test your overall application, so amendments and case study based MCQs and reference of quick revision if needed for your procedural part of your direct taxation, that is advanced tax, TDS, TCS, and your assessment procedure that you can recommend for taxation. That is basically your entire 1.5 days. I will recommend that if you want to stretch a little of part in your taxation, you can do it. I did during my time, I slipped there little half an hour late also for that purpose for taxation because it was going to be pretty lengthy. Taxation paper was for our purpose because our exams got postponed. So for us, there were a lot of amendments, so which are pretty new for me. So yeah, I will recommend that for taxation. You can stretch a little bit because why? Basically for the both group people. So basically after your taxation paper, normally there is one holiday that comes out, and after your when you start with your advanced accounts paper. So basically that you can get 2.5 days for your advanced accounts paper. So in that case, one day, if you think that little bit of stretching will be possible, I will recommend that you can do basically maximum for half hour. Don't stretch because you need basically 6 hours leave, 6 hours basically mandatory sleep for that purpose. So yeah, I just recommend that have a proper sleep in a taxation paper because normally what happens is basically in my case it was section B, that is a GST part. I wrote direct taxation there. So this was basically some of the things that you need to be very much careful because in your taxation paper, first of all, there will be a MCQ booklet and there will be MCQ, basically your OMR sheet. Then there will be your section A, section B, different answer sheets. And then there will be basically a question paper for your descriptive part. So there are a lot of papers that come now on your bench itself. So basically be careful about these things that you don't miss out this section wise. If there is section A, you write in direct tax only. And if it's section B, then please write in GST only. This is one of the mistakes that I used to commit. Basically, I was much close to commit that, but fortunately didn't do that. So be very much pretty sure about that. That then there will be of no use there. And so yeah, please be careful of that. Write your section properly, section A paper in section A and section B in section B. And AI system also you do please remember of that. And yes, in the case of that now, I will recommend that when you for the both the group peoples, like now it's basically you've been completely exhausted now because after your taxation paper, it will be something like you need to complete like basically a sleep proper. So it's basically I think I utilized like some of the seniors like told me that do audit also in the along with the advanced accounts and everything. But as I already told in the starting only that do audit and EI system prior to 15 days itself so that it will help you out. Basically in that case, so it becomes fresh in your mind. So because of that, I was very much pretty sure about audit and EI system. So I didn't do anything with regards to advanced accounts. After my taxation paper, one of the best thing that I did was basically utilize with my family. Best thing because I also am a twin brother basically, and so I spent a good quality time with him also. So he told me let's play cricket because I have my house big fortunately. So we used to play cricket only because we played box cricket at my house. So I told yes, why not? I will play for 2 to 3 years. After my taxation paper, I just did nothing, which is just played with my brother. And after that, I slept for approx 10 hours. It was 10 hours sleep. I'm pretty sure that yes, it was 10 hours sleep I did for that purpose because I'm completely exhausted now. So in that case, I made that basically in that case 10 hours sleep also for the advanced accounts purpose. I get up approx I think 9 to 9:30 I get up and I did nothing but for advanced accounts only. Though I had 2.5 days, 2 days something whatever with the time left. I just told I will give advanced accounts only and 2 days properly I will do advanced accounts. Nothing with respect to my auditing and everything I will not do. Just concentrate on advanced accounts only. So yeah, for advanced accounts, after taking proper rest after the taxation paper, now you're pretty much fresh now. So yeah, and getting ready for the group 2 preparations. For the basically for the both the groups I just told now just how I approach it out. But for the purpose of your if those people were basically in the case only giving their group 2, I will recommend that for advanced accounts also you can give your basically 2 or 3 days, whatever be the case for advanced accounts paper, and you can do it out. So yeah, basically for the both the group people, you are 2.5 days. And yes, so, after having a proper rest, in that case, do not do any other subject, just I related along with advanced accounts. And yes, so basically for that purpose also, in that case, try to complete everything because you have one additional day, so you can go through properly everything that whichever that you feel that basically is very much important. So yeah, so you can go through entire advanced accounts. I think basically for advanced accounts is more of now accounting standards only. Chapters like are very much small, like in that case we can see it out. But yeah, those chapters are very much big, like amalgamation is there, then there is consolidated financial statements and everything. So yeah, but those chapters are big. But yeah, but basically in that case accounting standards and has become a very bigger role for that. Basically for question 1 and question 6, they basically are asking a good type of the accounting standards and theory based questions. So yeah, for advanced accounts, preparation and completion will not be an issue, definitely, because we will be able to complete it within a proper lead time. So yeah, for advanced accounts, do whatever you think that you think basically is proper. Just like costing, same theory, same strategy here also, because in that case you can utilize whatever in that case so you think some of the criteria and priority. And but make sure that on the day of your exam, try to solve it something of your, again, just as in the part of costing, try to solve it out. So in that case, you come in a momentum for solving any of the paper for a 3-hour paper. So in that case, for practical is much needed. So yeah, for that purpose, I recommend that try to solve it out. Something will be left. Something's there will be case that you not solve it out properly. So in that case, try to make your hands on a paper, on a page, and try to solve it out. So yeah, for that purpose of advanced accounts, I will recommend, because the proper time now in order to solve that advanced accounts paper. And then basically in that case, auditing and EI system, I consider it both collab manner only. So basically for auditing, so yeah, I just already told, like in that case there will be, I told if it's it will be an on edge if you just try to complete it basically prior to 15 days only is take on those subjects. So for audit, if it's basically will be greater fresh in your mind, will also increase your confidence over these chapters also and these subjects like audit and EISSM. So basically, if it's fresh in your mind, then after your advanced accounts paper, try to solve small essay-based chapters. Like there is essay 240, that is basically chapter number 5 for your fraud paper, fraud part, and essay 530 audit sampling, essay 520 analytical procedures, then audit report essay 700 to essay 706 and 710 also. So basically, these are some of the essays that you can do it on your exam dates, basically on your after giving your advanced accounts paper. So on that day itself, try to solve. Again, I just told, like, try to give less time and try to get maximum marks. These are some of the essays which are ICI favorite also, because we can expect a good amount of questions of this, basically MCQs and some of the theory based questions also. And chapter number 2 also, essay 300 and essay 320. So these are some of the areas that you can complete on that exam day itself, on the after giving your advanced accounts paper. On the next day, you can complete your basically remaining essay-based topics. I will recommend to go in the morning and non-essay-based chapters. Basically, it will go better if you start in the evening only. So complete essay-based chapters. So basically, in that case, chapter number 3, chapter number 4, which are very much important, because this consists of a good amount of your practical approach also, and a good, basically good amount of the weightage marks also. Basically, for 15 to 20 marks are expected on third chapter. Chapter 4 consists of 10 to 15 marks. So basically, these essay-based chapters, you need to complete it out. Basically, get complete this essay-based chapters. Introductory chapter, chapter number 1, basically of essay number 200, 210. You complete it basically by, it may take basically by 4 p.m. Basically, it took for me, like it took 4 p.m. only, approximately. So, and afterwards, you're left with nothing but basically your non-essay-based chapters. Now, in the case of non-essay-based chapters, you have basically bank audit, then you have different entities, audit, basically audit of different entities. Then you have audit in automated environment, and basically there is company audit. So yeah, basically in the case of company audit, I will recommend that in the case of law only, we have completed out. Try to complete that only in the law only. We have completed a company audit, because we have there also law and audit both concepts of company audit. So yes, it will be much fresh in your mind because you're just doing a law paper. So yeah, complete these papers like bank audit, audit of items of financial statements. So these are some of the chapters like basically which are more practical oriented. So basically these 2 chapters is audit of items of financial statements, and the second chapter basically with respect to your different entities or a chapter. So yes, these 2 chapters are very much important, like basically more practically. So if you're good in your accounting standards, basically for audit of items of financial statements, it will be more beneficial for you. And for different entities, you need to go through once because it is basically more critical one are basically government audits and audit of local bodies. And basically, so these are the proprietary audit and performance audit. These are some of the critical terms which are basically very much important when you're covering your 1.5 days exam preparations. Then there is bank audit also that you can do. Basically, if you want, then you can stretch it out in the next day. When you're basically for your exam preparation, basically on your exam day itself, when you're writing an audit paper, in the morning for that purpose, you can do it out. And audit in automated environment and bank audit. These are some of the chapters that I did on exam day itself. Audit in automated environment, yeah, it's one of the most important chapter. I basically personally feel because some of the abbreviations also they may sometimes may they ask because there is an abbreviation list behind your model that you can recommend it out. Basically, I will recommend it. There's also a glossary. That is something I think I'm not mistaken. In November 2018, they asked this glossary items like database they are separately, then what is backend as a basically backend criteria and everything. There's some of the glossary items they are asked in their attempt, so I will recommend that you do those well. So when you prepare your 1.5 days preparations, then basically again for that purpose there is reference of a quick revision again available on ICI portal. In this case, if I'm not mistaken, there is first chapter, there is major scope objective audit, then there is yeah, that materiality wala chapter, second chapter, then there is I think bank audit and audit report. These are the four chapters they have covered it out. Yeah, no, there's three, and yes, third and fourth chapter also covered up. There's basically documentation wala chapter and risk assessment and internal controls. These are some of the chapters that they have covered up in their reference of a quick revision. If you think that you are not basically more perfect towards that, I am definitely sure this reference of a quick revision will definitely help you in every subject because they are very exhaustive. This is basically a summarization more of your ICI model itself. They consist of the language of ICI model, which I think basically the people face when writing the language of audit. So I will recommend that for audit purpose, you do basically refer the reference for audit and AI system both because I'm coming for AI system also how to deal with that. For audit purpose, I will definitely feel like go through this reference of a quick revision. They are though not basically for this minor essay-based chapters because there is no summarization for that. But yes, for these bigger chapters, I will recommend that you do refer this reference of a quick revision. This is very much important. And case study based MCQs again, they are applicable for you. Again, it is available on ICM module. Do complete that. Again, see any doubts are there coming out and everything like stuff, and just try to resolve those doubts again. So yeah, basically these are all basically updated material. Basically, this to reference our quick revision and case study MCQs booklet that I highly recommend that you solve it out because in the coming times and attempts, MCQs will be tough because now the case study based MCQs have been introduced. It may be a tougher challenge for you because it'll be testing your whole basically your conceptual testing. Then basically comes your EASSM paper, one of the most important paper. I think like some of the people have asked in the responses also like I saw like how to approach EASSM 1.5 days criteria and everything. So yeah, after you're giving your audit paper, yeah, obviously again you need to touch your theory paper only. It's basically EASSM. So in the case of EASSM, what I did basically in the case of EASSM, I did with strategic management only starting because it's very much sure that EIS you do at the more at the end it will be more beneficial because you need to produce good output there. So in the case of strategic management, I will tell that try some of the chapters that you think like they are very much again scoring and less time consuming. Like there are chapters like third chapter, then there is fourth, five, and six. 3, 4, 5, 6. These are some of the chapters like which are very much high scoring and less time consuming also. 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of the chapters that you can do highly recommended on the day of your exam only. Basically on the after giving audit paper in the evening you can hire very much definitely you can do this 4 chapters very well. For this 4 paper, this sorry this your 4 chapters you can do it very well for your SM part. And afterwards in the next day, basically when you get up at approximately I get up at 6 a.m. I think I'm not mistaken. I get up at 6 a.m. and completed my remaining SM part. So for the 3, 4, 5, 6 are done, 7, 8, and 1 and 2. This were some of the chapters that was left of SM. First, there is I will recommend that complete one of the part that is your 7B first credit aside it out and then consider your remaining part on EIS only because it's basically more better if you basically produce a more technical language at the later part of your exams. So yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 7, 8 in the morning that I did basically 1, 2, 7, 8 basically one of the 4 chapters like second chapter and 7 and 8. These were the 3 chapters that are basically very important. For that purpose, again, for that purpose, I had already marked out some of the main points like from the ICI model during my first reading. At the time of first reading, what I need to link with my ICI model and what is not matching with my classes notes. I used to match it out and just write it out with the page numbers basically. For the audit purpose and EIS, both the things I did the same. Whatever which I felt like something is basically new, So I just used to write the page numbers of that and basically what it consisted of, so that you're not mistaken what at this page, what was basically the new area. So I just write page number 4.87, something, what is the case of that. And just write basically this is something new area that you can add as a separate question, or you can add in an answer, which way seems to be very much unique in yourself. So for that EISSM I did. So in the case strategic management, for the remaining papers, remaining chapters 1 to 7, 8, I just did the classes notes. I used to read it out, and along with that, I had a link with my ICI material. What I need to basically refer through that part. So basically, by I will say it was, I think, 3:30. 3:30 it was like the time where I completed my strategic management pool. Now basically was left basically with my AIS paper. Yeah, sorry, yeah, sister. Yeah, I just continue. Yeah, so afterwards, this paper was completed. Then I was left with the AIS part. Now, though this looked like there are only 5 chapters, and how to complete that part? Yes, basically for that purpose, about that, I will tell like do proper 3 chapters for that. For the EIS part, you already completed your SM properly. So basically, I completed SM full properly. And for the EIS part, I completed main of the 3 chapters that I did properly well. So basically, in that case, those chapters were first chapter, second chapter, and the fourth chapter. So first chapter was that automation wala, and second chapter was again ERP, and fourth chapter was e-commerce wala. So 1 to 4, these were some of the chapters that I completed on that day itself. Basically when you get your proper 1 day basically leave for that purpose here. So in that case, only I completed these 3 chapters, because as I already told, this will completion of that possible will be possible if you are properly done with your AIS prior to you start with your exams proper cycle. That is basically prior to your 15 days itself, you need to be touched with this audit and AIS. Then only you'll be able to complete within a basically period of 1.5 days. So it will be basically an addition. You will be complete within a shorter lead time only, basically. So basically, I used to take for every chapter, I'm not mistaken, for 2.5 hours. I used to take for every chapter of EIS, depending upon what is the chapter. Sometimes for the first chapter, even I took less time also. So yeah, basically, these were some of the chapters that I used to take 2 hours or 2.5 hours, basically, and complete these chapters. And now I was left basically for the next day, and that will basically 2 chapters, third chapter and the fifth chapter. So in that case, for third chapter and the fifth chapter, I just had the summary notes for that purpose. Again, for that, at that time, I refunded basically the quick revision referencer, which I had already at my time, which was available on my ICI portal. So I just recommended those parts. So third and fifth chapter, I just did the summarization of that, which are very much helpful for my MCQ purpose. So in the MCQs, majorly basically consider third chapter only and fifth chapter. And fortunately, basically third chapter and fifth chapter, basically more of the MCQs. There were some of the questions also on that. But basically, there were all of the amendments. Amendments, basically, in that case, in the case of EISSM, basically some of the additional content which were introduced in the ICI model. So basically, for our time, it was some of the amendments. You can tell it out. So yeah, we had amendments also in EISSM at that time. So yeah, so we did it properly. Basically, I did amendments on that day, on the day of the exam, when I used to prepare for EIS. I get up a little bit early on that day and completed this part basically with respect to my amendment section, because we had a lot of amendments in that area. We had PMLA Act, then we had other stuff also. So basically in that case, I completed all my amendments on that day. And third and fifth chapter, just a glance of that paper, because fifth chapter is like core banking solutions, basically more practical, because it consists of your various fund-based services, non-fund-based services, then different types of banking services, then what are basically the risk and controls with respect to your application software and everything, and what is your process control. So basically in that case, that consists of fifth chapter, your core banking solutions. So that was more practical. And third chapter, again, I just had a proper glance of that, basically, which will be very much useful for my practical, for my MCQ purpose. So I was just oriented for my third and fifth for my MCQ purpose only. So in that case, it was like point that you're not just skipping any of the chapters and just going through a glance of every chapter that basically comprises of that particular subject, and just not leaving anything. Like, because in that case for a CA exams, I will highly recommend that don't leave anything, because just take a glance which you think that basically is more important for that purpose. If you're leaving anything, like basically will create a guilt feeling on yourself that you didn't do something when you had capable of time also. So I will recommend that for third and fifth chapter, go through your summary notes if any available. For currently, for you are very much fortunate, basically for May 21, November 21, there is proper notes which have been given and a quick reference of a quick revision I just gone through today. And I will highly recommend for AISSM, I will recommend for third and fifth chapter. For AIS purpose, I will recommend third chapter and fifth chapter that you can go through for your 1.5 days exam preparation. They're highly recommendatory. For the SM purpose, I will recommend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are very good from. And in the case of strategic management, they have done a very well justice for that, because in the case of model, if you see of strategic management, very comprehensive, very comprehensive. But when you see the example, the paper, it will, you think like it's basically bare minimum of I think basically will take 120 to 130 marks of the entire content which AI system comprises of. So I will tell like the strategic management module itself has summarized in the quick reference of a quick revision. It's very good for SM 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. Like if you just go through that for your 1.5 days exam preparation, I'm definitely sure you will pass. And for ES also, I will recommend that only for third and fifth chapter. Go through that, with quick reference of quick revision. And yeah, so for that purpose, ES and for SM, you can do it out. And again, for your purpose, there is case study based MCQs, which have been updated on your ICI portal. Just go through that. Again, for part A and part B, they've been in separate PDFs. Go through that, and because any doubts, if any, so in that gets cleared on your exam day itself. So basically, this was basically the criteria that I used during my EI system. Just go through that quick reference of a quick revision. I'm recommending for every subject, because the ICI has been putting on a lot of efforts for that. These are the updated notes that they have put on their portal. And basically, one of the things is basically the notes are very much small in pages, but higher in content. So they are highly recommended. And for the last paper, yeah, again, we are approaching for the last paper now. It's basically FM Eco. And basically, the approach that we have for this paper is basically to just score good runs, score good marks here. Basically, in that case, because it's your last paper and you just need to produce a good output here and finish in good style. So for the FM Eco purpose, after EI system, I will definitely prefer that you take FM only, because after your auditing paper, then with your EI system, you already gone with a lot of theory parts now. So it's highly recommended that you don't know now you do something with respect to your practical papers. So go through your practical papers now. Basically your FM. This is the last practical paper that you're remaining. So for the FM part, I will recommend that do some of the papers, do some of the chapters which again are time saving and basically and high scoring. So these are chapters like capital structure is there. Then there is cost of capital. Then there is ratio analysis. Then there is leverage. So yeah, basically these are the chapters that you can complete it out on the day of the day itself. And as obviously risk analysis also in capital budgeting. These are some of the chapters, 5 chapters that I'm listed that I completed on that day itself. After giving my EI system paper. So yes, I completed these 5 chapters on that day. Second day when I woke up, it was like capital budgeting, working capital chapters. So which I did finish it out. So capital budgeting and working capital. These were some of the practical chapters that was left. So there are total 10 chapters there, and some of the 5 chapters already finished, and then these were the 3 chapters, basically capital budgeting, working capital, and the dividend decisions. These are the 3 chapters that I finished it out on the morning itself, and I completed it by basically by 1 p.m. only. I completed this chapters, and then I was left basically by 2 chapters basically in the case of FM. That is basically first chapter, your introduction to financial management, and the second one basically a financing of funds. So basically types of financing. I think this is basically the chapter. So yes, basically these were the 2 chapters that were left. That I just I told you the costing purpose also, that the theory I highly recommend that you do on your exam day itself. That is more beneficial for you. So afterwards I just finish it out, and then I started with my economics on that day. And yeah, economics again there was a same like SM. I just had my coaching classes and whatever the classes material I had, and I had linked with my ICM material during my first reading, whatever I need to go through with me basically with my page numbers and references. So again, I noted down like page number, this is this, basically I need to see it on real effective exchange rate, this or something like different, because I was not at all basically new of that. So real effective exchange rate, the page number of that. Then basically there were various other parts also like FDI criteria scout and everything like. So these were some of the questions that I felt like there's something new. So I just wrote down the page numbers of them. Then there was monetary transmission mechanism. So these are some of the questions like which are totally new to me. So I just wrote down the basically the key reference and linking to that. So for that economics purpose, it's basically I think linking with ICI model is very much important, that you link with your ICI purpose also. So in that case, you get a greater coverage also for that purpose. And afterwards, yes, on the day of the exam day, there is basically left is basically FM theory, or certain part of economics also will be left, because economics is vast, basically little comprehensive. If you compare the SM module and economics module, is way bigger there. Economics, though it consider only 4 chapters, but they are very big compared to like international trade itself is one of the bigger ones. So yes, there will be certain cases that you will be left with a certain part of economics. So completed it on your exam day itself. There is no worries if you're not able to complete on your day on your end of the day itself. Complete on the morning itself, you'll be able to still get in the better part. And after, in that case, there is FM theory that is basically left. I will recommend for costing purpose, for advanced accounts, and for FM purpose. Yes, for these three papers, do theory, please, because in advanced account, there is accounting standards more, but there are certain, in our attempt, it was like just like Prathamesh said, there was something overriding professional payment section 329. So something, this was basically some of the already part of that. So the basically in the module it was already given. Then second question was given to us basically in regards to liquidation. Basically, when is the criteria when the LLP needs to wind it up? So this was another question that was given to us. Then there was basically in regards to voting rights in the case of liquidation. So these are some of the questions that basically may come out, and you can go through because they are available in a practice manual also for the banking part companies, and for the purpose of the other chapters like the partnership also there's a good number of theory questions. You can go through for that. For FM theory purpose, you need to do from 1 and 2 basically more of that, because for the other practical subjects also they ask practical chapters, they also ask theory, but it will be more better because if you do basically for first chapter and second chapter, because these are basically totally new criteria and new basically the new areas only itself. So I will recommend it for the first and second theory papers you do on the exam day, first and second chapters, you do the theory on the exam day itself. So basically in that case, if you're not able to solve any of the question, you can switch to theory. Because in my attempt, yes, I attempted theory in every paper. Even in accounts also, I attempted some of the theory questions. Yeah, in FM also, I attempted full theory question. That's basically of 10 marks. Yeah, I completed because I was not pretty sure one of the question like with respect to working capital, I think it was. And I didn't attend the 10 marks question and then attended theory. I made a switch because it is better that you don't take any risk and get some of the marks there. So it was of 10 marks. I may have scored 6 marks also. What may be the case of that, but at least you're scoring at least some of the marks. So it's more better that you play with the marks there. So I did FM theory question, full attempted. I attended full theory question there. So yeah, it's FM theory also. It can save you because sometimes it may be the case like some of the new question come out in FM and you're not able to solve. Then basically FM theory question can help you out. So basically, I will recommend that for that purpose. And as after FM paper you have played, you can enjoy it. Take 7 to 8 this basically break from this part for your intercurriculum and just take time for your family and everything. So yeah, basically this is from my side how you need to prepare for my 1.5 days for every subject wise I told you. And it is basically highly recommended that you can try to cover out basically maximum part of it. And yeah, so basically try to scroll out and maximum part with respect to this key summary notes, certain linking parts when you do in your first reading. It will be very, very beneficial that when linking around writing up page numbers there. So just going through that part, I don't missing out any of the important items. So yeah, that's all from my side. I hand over to Dipshi now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Touquir, for such an elaborative and exhaustive explanation. Now, I think we should move on to the question answer round. So, anyone, I mean, from amongst you all, if you guys have any question, you can just unmute yourselves and ask questions. Prithvi, are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, Mayank.
This session is for just intermediate student or
Mayank, can you please be a bit loud? I think I can't hear you.
Am I audible properly?
No, Mayank. एकदम कम आवाज आ रही है. Like we can't hear you properly.
Okay, wait a minute.
Try now. Mayank.
Hello.
Yeah, Mayank.
So is this session is just for intermediate student or CA foundation student also?
See, for when it comes to your motivation, you dividing your day with respect to studies, I think those are a few points that even foundation or final students can take into consideration. But when you talk about things that are subject wise, I think for that you might have to consult mentors in person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Is there anyone else who would like to ask any questions?
Yeah, I would like to ask.
Yes.
I want to ask that since I am from Punjab, I am a Punjab University student. I have since my semester one exams are ongoing. Can you please suggest me that whether in second year I should go for an open university or I should just continue with this?
Is there any mentor who would like to answer this particular question?
When you say open university, do you mean a university where you don't have to attend it physically?
Yes, correspondence. Does it affect our articleship?
No, it does not affect your articleship, but I mean, if it is possible for you, if it is not that big a deal, I feel you should go to a normal university instead of correspondence, because having a normal bachelor's degree, I mean, whatever you're doing, BCom, BMS, whatever is it is more preferable and it will add more value than doing something from correspondence. But if it is absolutely not manageable, then obviously after getting your chartered accountancy degree, your BCom wouldn't matter as such, so you can go for correspondence also, but put first preference for your normal university.
Also, campus placement is important. Please
Yeah, so yeah, go for that only. Basically, for correspondence, like there is a lot of benefit of campus placements. So yeah, I will highly recommend that. Basically, for my seniors also did from correspondence. Basically, from but when they did for correspondence, basically there was a negative point for the HR, and they didn't recruit for him. So yeah, basically, open university. Basically, it's very much important. You go enroll and basically for the college purpose.
One more specific question that I want to do my articleship from Big Four, but since I am currently in Punjab, Ludhiana, that when my exams of first year will be over, then I want to be in a Big Four. So my university problem will be maybe arising that time, that where I will be doing my articleship, my college will be there. Then can you please suggest what should be done in this case?
What are your college timings?
Since it is 100% online currently,
No, but in general, what are the college timings?
generally it is 9 to 2.
And do you guys have any attendance issue? Like you have to attend minimum this much?
No, first semester exams are almost over, and my second semester will be over like in July. From April to July, it will be second semester. But my college is such that there will be NOC issue, so that's why I'm considering this point, that maybe my principal not give such NOC.
I mean, if you want, you can talk to your teachers or principal regarding that, if they would be okay with you not attending for a while. But if that is not possible, then I feel you should go for the normal, some sort of articleship in a normal firm, which will accommodate to your time. And maybe when you're done with college, you can ask for transfer. I feel even Deloitte doesn't take transfer. You can try it with KPMG and PwC.
But then I would also like to add one more thing, that if you talk about such a case where you have a confusion between your college allowing you or not, and see, majority of us, in fact all the panelists are from Mumbai, so we might not have much idea about the pattern of timings and teaching what happens in the north. So it would be better if you still, after listening to us, just consult a person from there only. Like if you know anyone who will any of your seniors, it would be better if you do that. And even if you, I mean, in after doing all of this also, if you're confused, then you might try for correspondence. That is what my suggestion is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So do we have anyone else to ask any questions? Okay, so it seems there's no one to ask. Sorry?
One question. One more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
That how are interview process conducted in Big Fours? Can you please elaborate?
See, Ishika.
Can you connect to the mentors on a personal basis? Like they are in different big fours, so you can talk to Prithvi, and Prithvi will give you each mentor from each big four, so they can guide you accordingly. Is that fine?
Yeah, definitely. See, what I would suggest is, Ishika, stop worrying about all of these things. Uh, right now, your focus should be only one thing, that is your inter exams coming up and your preparations for the same. Once you are done with your exams, you can contact any one of us, and whomever you contact, we are all there to help you out.
And one more thing, Ishika, there is a detailed video about guidance on articleship on Vision CA YouTube channel. You can check out that.
Okay, surely.
So, do we have any other questions? Okay. Prithvi, are you there?
Will these webinars be regularly conducted?
No, dear, but if at all you have any queries or you are into any trouble, you can contact any one of us. We are there to help you out. Don't worry.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Am I here? So make sure you join the Vision CA groups which are there. So all the mentors which are there are marked as an admin. So you can just directly reach out to them personally, or else you can post your queries directly onto onto the group. Also, as you are aware that we also have like personal mentoring group kind of session. So you can also register basis the form which is available, and basis that we'll form a group of let's say 10-12 persons, and basis that we can guide you through the entire journey.
Okay, fine.
Yes. So, shall we end it now, or is there anyone else who would like to add on something or ask something?
Yeah, I just want to thank all of you for conducting such a nice event. It's been a pleasure meeting you all. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's our honor to help you out, guys.
It's really unbelievable that I am able to talk with AIRs. Really, 2-3 days ago, I have just made my LinkedIn profile, and there I get a link connected with you all, and I really feel it's really very good.
Don't worry. Thank you so much, Ishika.
Thank you,
And
Ishika, for this.
hope that you will work very hard and be the next AIR. Good
Yeah,
luck.
and we would like that you would be on board with us, like Vision CA. And yeah,
Thank you.
please spread our initiative. And we have only one purpose, to help every other student. That is those who are pursuing CA, CFA, and CS. We are here to help everyone. So yeah, please join our initiative.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I think we should end this session right now.
Yeah, thanks Dipshi, and thanks each and everyone, all the attendees over here. Also special thanks to all the inter CA mentors which are there, and it was a very detailed and all insightful session which was there. Even if I would be in the inter, it would be definitely helpful for me as well.
Thank you, Amay, for giving us this opportunity.
Thanks. All right, if anyone has any questions, they can just post it on the Vision CA's group. And till now, signing off. Thank you.